But this case, if this is decided today, then we have to do two models, why we want to remove the smaller company.
Yeah.
And then. Yeah, because the other is still on.
All right, you guys ready to go?
Yes.
We got 5 o'clock. All right. We will go ahead and call the order the January 9th, 2024 meeting of the Villa Sol Community Development District. First item on our agenda is the roll call. Mr. Perez.
Here.
Mr. Gagnon. Mr. Comas Jr. For the record, we currently have 3 board members present, so we do have our quorum. With that, we can do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item we have is public comment period. We'll ask for any members of the audience who'd like to make a public comment. This would be the time. We'd ask that you please come to the podium, state your name and address, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Thanks, since you guys got the total policy over the holidays, where back to what we were parking in front of mailboxes, hydrants, grass, driveways, blocking sidewalks, then it's back to look, you guys spent a lot of money and time with this policy. And be some company.
Yep, we agree. We've actually got a proposal for the board this evening.
Good, hopefully get it in and start doing.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Any other public comments? This would be the time anyone on Zoom to make a public comment. Okay. Mario just joined. All right, hearing none, we can go to the district engineer report. So we'll go ahead and open that up for Peter.
We just had a minutes since our last meeting, we had done some QC, removed some of the items that we think they're critical that we wait because some of that, something transpired in the meeting, their issue. So we reduced the number of point repairs by a few. We added the specs and added the standard details. Since CD standard details, we went off some local jurisdictions like county, or years county that have them. And we have a whole package ready for today. So if you have any questions about that, please let us know. But otherwise, it's ready to package up with construction contract and we publish.
So this meeting that we have is only concern of the most critical thing that we have to do, like, do we have any item on this one that, yes, need repair, but it's not at this point, it can wait. Because obviously we have to work without all of things, to do, just to make sure we don't bring everything in one area.
These are the most critical items. Again, since Stephen last time, we looked at it further and we removed some of the items that could wait. Until they should, for example, some pressures in a grass area, none of that is it's removing. This is some of those examples. But yeah, everything that's wrong here.
I didn't have a look everything over. Which real quick, this I noticed takes us through some green spaces. The contract puts that green space back. So if there was like between houses and take out traffic, pushing to repair, or if they had to do something up in the vandals or like the backyards, that could like grass, practically like grass, put that, going back in, back, things like that.
So you'll notice that on the table, everyone in these items where they're gonna do any ground disturbance, you'll see that, the item before last called out for restoration to equal or better condition. That's not option everybody.
And just want to make sure that they're completely circle clean.
The one thing that you want to keep in mind is, for example, if somebody has some elaborate landscaping in an easement, and we have to dig that up, the contractor is not gonna come back with that landscape back, he'll probably just put back some sod.
But it's easy to be,
Yeah,
it should be,
people should know this.
not people need.
Yeah.
I mean, for somebody who doesn't understand that there's an easement and they put some landscaping around it, they might be upset that the landscaping is gone or whatever. Just a head.
How many bids do we have in this so far?
How many costs are?
How many bids proposal?
We haven't, this has not been advertised yet, this, this needs to be publicly advertised because of cost of it. Probably.
Yeah.
And this right now, how long do you think it's gonna take to,
Complete the work. It honestly depends on the size of the contractor. The contractor can mobilize like 2 crews at the same time, that will cut down the time by half. But if you're doing one defect at a time, this could take a year. So it depends on the size of the contractor.
This is not the one that we brought back to us in November. Remember that you brought something to say that you only, receive one proposal and then you have to, give the opportunity to do the rest of the other companies to bid on it. This is the same one or this is a different one?
We've never gotten bids on this one before, but I'm not, I can't recall what it is that we got one bid on. Because the last thing we looked at was just some, cost estimate for the roadway resurfacing, and we did have 3 bids on that one. But we've never gotten a proposal.
So basically, for experience, you said that you get the proposals and we can have a company that can have 2 crews here, you said that it take a year to finish all this.
I'm thinking it'll probably take a year if we have like 1 crew. If they double up and they cut it down half. This is something we can try to put in the contracts. Sometimes we will put the number of days in the contract where you have to finish it with this number of days. And then you have like liquidated damages on top of that, so if they can over, there's a number of days they state penalties or just pay for some of that. But again, the more restrictions we put on a contract, the less contractors are gonna be able to.
Yeah, we may want to add that to the bid too, if there was a strict deadline that the CDD wanted to meet, so that any proposers are
Yeah.
aware of that before they submit the bid.
Yeah. I mean, you could also ask, what is your estimated, each vendor, what their estimated time for completion is as well. I mean, I think that's a fair question to ask.
If you could, we could put restrictions on, holidays, for example, if you want to be having one issue over holidays and things like that. That's all something that will go in the contract.
Do you think you're gonna have, results by the next meeting in February or we have to wait about too much?
The next meeting is in March.
Next meeting is February. I wouldn't, typically those have to sit on the street for about 30 days in the newspaper. So just by lead time, we probably wouldn't have bids by the next meeting, but it would be the March meeting. I think we should probably have bids by the March.
So we will put it out in 30 days. We
Yeah.
want to give them a chance to also ask questions. 30 days is like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So we can go for 2 weeks and then a week to ask questions and then another week after we answer the questions. So. And again, I don't know how long it takes to prepare the contract too, so we can that type of. From now, we can have a contract for these proposals.
Yeah, we have just our standard form contracts for something like this too, so we can have that done with it. Even,
So just let us know what restrictions you want to put in the contract, like, I don't understand, but we'll see more days.
yeah, sometimes, boards will say work can only be completed between 8 AM and 5 PM.
Monday through Friday.
Yeah,
I
Monday
mean,
through
it
Friday,
depends on-
Friday. Or,
That's the normal thing, yeah. Because during the weekend or too late, plus you're gonna have some areas that are going between houses.
Yeah.
You know,
Would we put restrictions on where they start, or they would do things like we want you to take it and start a project with doing equipment repairs? They're like on the streets and that kind of stuff, where we start digging things up, or is that really better not?
I would recommend leaving that out for contractors, because also based on availability of materials, they might want to start from one place versus the other, and giving flexibility, shuffling things around in the schedule.
I think that would be best,
Yeah.
and Kristen might be able to even put it in there for communication. Hey, if you're planning on doing anything where we're digging up a street and have to do closures, you have to let district
Yeah.
staff know ahead of time and things like that.
Yeah, I would definitely some kind of communication, you know, I'm just thinking that like doing that, for compensating the visual portion. One beginning of the end,
Correct.
where we're doing just a pipe work, construction stuff with not digging holes and. I'm thinking,
yeah, and then, for example, I know he mentioned, the order. So we have some openings already, like on the Abercios, and, we make sure we start on those and they are, at least that one is
Yeah.
open,
And we can definitely request those.
And that's typically done once you select the contractor, then Peter will negotiate with them and just say, hey, here's our priorities. This is the order we'd like you to go in. And then that's when the contractor will kind of tell you their plan and you kind of work through it that way.
And then another, we're beating all this, let's say, for example, we get to a point on March or April, and then we check out the financing, whatever this comes, on the price. Then, and the job be, smaller at that time, because for example, we don't have the capability to do everything, at once. But we need it everything at once, then we just reduce the amount of work and then.
yeah, generally not, because you're advertising the bid, and so you need to be assigned the work pursuant to what you advertise.
As contractors also, they price based on the following.
Yeah.
So you might be able to remove 1 point repair here, 1 point repair there, but definitely not like scaling back like 15.
Yeah.
That would cause a bigger impact.
what about the other, what if we find out, what's going on, we find a new book repair? Something needs to be.
I'm sure that we have like a change.
A change order and we repair while they're mobilized, yeah.
I'm just thinking of something that happens, it's, they have, we can slip it in or mobilize.
Yeah.
Either there's a process of speeding.
Unless it exceeds like the 195, 195,000, it's not subject to the additional bid requirement, or public bid requirement, which I think is probably unlikely, because you've already reviewed and have a general ballpark.
Well, and we're doing the public bid on this, so even if it does, it'll be added to this. So I think,
As long as it's not that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking something opens up tomorrow with you.
Yeah.
Can we, instead of kind of backwards, start that process of getting one.
Yeah, we'll certainly try as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
I did want to mention something. We originally did the fee review for the repair of the storm system. It was not for the entire CDB. It was for only a portion of the CDB. What we're looking at right now is, this is working better than we expected. We expected a lot more defects in just one area, and that's what the fees were revised based on. So for the same kind of the schedule that you have for multiple years, you'll be able to cover a bigger area for the CDB than.
If I'm not mistaken, we still missing section 3 and 4 with the CCTV.
Yes, last meeting, we discussed that we will bid this and see if there's money available in the budget, and based on that, we will go get additional CCTV.
So we're missing 2, 3, sorry, 3, 4, and 5.
Correct.
Yeah. We have 1 year behind. Because we didn't do anything last year.
Repairs wise, we'll just, we did not, besides like the units is repairs. And this bid might come up higher than what we had originally assumed for 1 year. So yes, we are behind that, but we're catching up a little bit by including more. repairs.
I think the motion from the board, if the board would be amenable, would be to just go ahead and authorize the district engineer to go ahead and advertise this bid. So that we can get those bids back as quick as possible.
Then to get direction to for district council.
So I don't know if we advertise it.
Typically, you guys have on these types of projects so that it comes back to you, but we can assist you if you need to. Yep. Yep.
Okay, the motion.
All right.
I'll second the motion.
Who made the motion? I'm sorry.
I did.
Gotcha. Perfect. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And again, once we have those bids, we'll bring it back at whatever the next available meeting is. I think we would target probably March at the earliest.
Here, when you get back to the office, would you mind issuing us what those zones are? I know one thing in our map, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Start overlay, shoot out with the, you know.
Sure, I'll send it.
Yep, I'll send it.
Yeah, just try to think back and like, put this along, you know, to have this reference to. Stuff.
Zone 3 goes to the multifamily, and then 4 and 5 on basically west of, Forest Hills.
Just for the record, Mr. Cordova has joined the meeting as well.
So that's it for my requirements. Do you have any questions?
All of those over the moment. Sorry, this is presentation.
It was very exciting.
Yes.
Start,
Yeah,
but I'm part of it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
perfect. So the next item we have is just a proposed addendum to the GMS contract. There was some requests from the board to possibly reduce. Right now, we're staffing the amenity center 1 day a week, which is Saturdays. What this contract would do is eliminate that 1 day a week of service, and then we could handle that same type of work remotely from our office. We would send out the barcodes and stickers through the mail. We can do the room reservations through the mail, especially, or through the phones and email, especially since we have the code set up now. And so that would create about $7,000 worth of savings on an annual basis over the 1 day a week service. And so there is a base fee of $5,200 for us to kind of do that remotely, that amenity services remotely. We've started doing that for some of our districts that don't want an on-site attendant. So it's an option for you if you chose to go that way.
How does that work again? I kind of not understand that. So the 52 is a base fee.
That's the fee for this size community. So basically if your community is 500 homes or less, that's the fee that's the standard GMS fee for remote amenity access.
Oh.
And so we have some staff in our office and they basically handle all the calls that come in for amenities. So if you called about your barcode or you called about getting access to the system, they would help you with that. If you called and had questions about the amenity center, they would help with that. If you wanted to rent a room, they would help with that. We just do it all through the phone or mail versus having somebody here.
The attendant does this, it'll be done remotely. Or then we don't additional charges, this is the fee that's there.
Yeah, so right now and we included your original contract. So right now, 1 day a week of service on an annual basis, it runs about $12,000. It's $30 an hour times the amount of hours. So instead of that $12,000, it would be the $5,000. So there's an annual savings of $7,000 if you decide to go to the remote option. So yeah,
How would you handle the room rentals? You say that just emails?
Emails and phone calls, they would work with the resident, get everything that they needed submitted, and then we right now we're providing room codes I'll come in, get the rentals, then we send out the room codes to them. So we don't even necessarily need to be here. This code system works on a completely different system than all the other electronic locks that we have, so they don't have access to everywhere. We can restrict whatever they're getting into. It would just make it to where that they don't have to have an attendant here to do what they need to do. All the tables and chairs are supposed to be in here at all times regardless, and everything is expected to be returned to in here. They have their party. I'm still coming by doing my inspections. If there's any issues or anything like that, then we address it afterwards.
I was gonna ask you, is there any way that you guys can create like a public calendar of when this space is rented?
We typically do that through that, when they call in and ask, because again, I don't know that we have a public option, we could. But we typically handle those by phone, so when somebody calls and says, hey, is the room open this day to rent, we'll walk them through the process.
The reason why I asked is the other day that we do stickers, the first day that we do stickers, we decided to spread into this room because no one was here. An hour later, the renter came in and rented the space, we pretty sad. So I think we had a calendar, and look at it last week, and said, hey, nobody's renting, we use it, rather than just. Just for future.
I had a thought of potentially seeing what we can generate. We don't necessarily have to say, hey, this person is renting the room from this time. No, yeah, I would say rent it here. Like we could put something like a little PowerPoint thing on the TV in the gym or somewhere where they could go in and look and go, okay, I can see, okay, the 26th is red, the 28th is red, but the 27th is.
Phone calls for requests too. They see it's really important, we're gonna have, yeah. Let's move.
We can look at an option. I know that we might be able to do a Google Share calendar too, and just put a link up, so you could add it to your calendar and be able to look to see.
There's all confidential information.
No, yeah,
No.
if it's like that, I don't see that being an issue. We'd probably,
We'll figure something out on that. We can do
well,
that.
that's what.
Yeah, we can see what we can do.
So since we are doing, one day a week from now, then we go virtually, with you guys, how you can ensure that, for example, I rented the room 12 to 4. If I stay 12 to 7, are you gonna be checking later on before you do the deposit or send the deposit back to cameras?
It depends. I'm not sitting there watching cameras on a beach on Saturday. That's not happening. But there are options. Yes, I can come back and say, okay, yes, they did have a 12 to 7. Let me look. It's 8 o'clock. They were still in here.
Yeah.
They would forfeit certain money.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Oh,
So yeah, we have ways of checking, and verifying. Yes.
And we still do have the security that comes, so they're aware of when the room's rented too, so they help out with kind of making sure that they're complying with the rules.
There is nobody inside the building. How you gonna check it out the next week if the person damages the room? If they left the table drawing, if they file the bathroom or anything like that?
So typically, depending on my schedule, I'm normally here first thing in the morning on Mondays, regardless, just because we have a lot of issues where people bring by garbage bags or whatever, and they just put them in front of the dumpster and things like that. So it creates issues having our trash company come by and take all that. So I try to make sure I'm here on Mondays to check. So if there's something that I would notice on a Monday, it would probably have to wait to then, unless somebody broke it on a Saturday and we had a Sunday rental, they would let us know, hey, the room is destroyed too.
You said security guard would get.
Security guard, yes. So there's a few systems in place, but in terms of.
And like you said, the janitors will help us too.
The janitors
We can let them know
here
today, go check the room out.
They clean at nights too, so they let us know anytime.
So they come on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, or Friday?
Correct. The only days that they don't come are Tuesdays and Thursdays.
That's what. And now that we're talking about, things, can we make sure, make sure the tables are good, whatever is damaged to us to get rid of it? And
Correct.
I think that's part of it we have later.
Because you gotta complain about tables, this is a complaint that the person trying to put a table.
They have some tables at Walmart and other places that are much better, and much easier than this, and they can fold in half, save storage space. And like I said, they're much nicer anyways.
And at this point, are we renting the space every day? Is it a little bit?
It's at least once a weekend, I think.
Say the availability, not how often.
Oh.
The availability, anybody calls any day, it's scheduled for render.
See what we can do.
Yeah, it's not limited to just the weekends. Yeah, they can
That's
rent
all, that's, before it used to be a little.
Yeah, no, they can, with the way we've got the code set up, I think we've added a lot more flexibility for residents and.
Yeah, to rent them Monday to.
Yep.
Yeah.
This mailing of stickers, the cost of that included in what we already have, or does that become an additional?
I mean, the stamps would be an additional cost. I mean, and we can work on seeing if there's ways to reduce it. So, we might have people, I think we were talking about probably putting a door slot or something in so that folks could drop money in. Or checks through the door and we can pick them up. I think we can work on ways to, kind of trim that and make it easier for us.
Each bit, one million.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's really cheaper.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the stamps would be a cost.
I think it's what, 17 cents, 35 cents?
Yeah.
Per letter?
Yeah.
Which does add over time.
How much would be?
But it's whatever a normal,
That's like 8 cents.
if they're sending a sticker, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's whatever the normal
The going
stamp
rate
rate is for a letter, so.
Right, but I don't know if it's changed, it's just be that, but kind of the need to vote.
Correct. Well, there wouldn't be an attendant. It'd be, we just provide those amenity services.
And those would be going to business hours, right?
Correct, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, it actually, in some ways, kind of gives you more options because your residents, sometimes now we direct them just to come because it's easier for them to come on Saturdays to get their forms and talk to somebody. This gives them somebody 5 days.
I don't know the setup of the office, I know they're there, but the residents arrive at the office and things like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we do that too with our other districts. If they want their stickers quicker or they want to come in person and pay for them, then we can just give them to them there.
Also, before you guys came here, I was talking because, Jerry had the day before, and I just asked legal and Jason about it, like how, so a lot of people get confused how with CDD and HOA. That actually, if the CDD can give actually some type of, permission to do the rentals and like, keys, maybe everything, this. Right, yeah, and then obviously the city is in charge of everything, maintenance and everything. Just to make it easier for the residents that they don't pay for fees. That was one of the things they say they can do, it have to be a contract,
Yeah, we discussed it a little bit, and one thing that came to mind is that, so that sounds a little bit like a management service contract or management service agreement. So there is a provision in the Internal Revenue Code that says that management service contracts for basically management of government finance, property, which would be like a clubhouse or property owned by the CBD. Could potentially be a private business use if the entity you're entering into that agreement with is not CBD or government. So if you're going to enter into this type of agreement with HOA, I'd recommend that we run the agreement language past your bond counsel. I have done these MSAs and run them past bond counsel and build their safe harbor provisions that are set forth by the Internal Revenue Code that you can include in that contract. I would just say, my recommendation would be that we go to bond counsel and get her blessing on that final form of agreement. We've done it in other CDDs, not with that particular service. I don't have experience doing that, but I think Jason said that he has other CDDs that have utilized an HOA.
Similar, I mean, similar things, yeah.
So it can be done. I just think from a legal perspective, my recommendation is once we've gotten that draft together, then we should go over to your bond counsel, she's very responsive. And we just get a blessing on it.
So I just asked that just because it's less confusing for residents and also open up more Jason and Jerry to do all the things
So, I mean,
needed on this.
And I will say that doing this way probably will open up things too, because I'm answering calls right now a lot and answering emails pretty frequently, which is fine. It's not a big deal, but it does, this will free that up for me to let me kind of work on some higher level things for you guys.
But that's something I.
This is the, I think it's a well, we're finding out from each one land company, what was possible for us, and then.
What would they charge?
Yeah.
Okay, so should I wait putting the draft MSA together for those services, maybe see how this goes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and then are you gonna inquire with the attorney for coming up, what their thoughts would be, or? you want us to-
Wait till we what,
Okay.
because I'm sure the prices will be based on how involved with the meeting is. We haven't done about that.
There, motion on this?
We're on the motion of.
Yeah.
The amendment to GMS contract, I need a motion to approve. 5,250 for remote, service.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And again, we've got that slated to start February 1st. So we'll start getting everybody queued up. And so over the next 3 weeks, we'll have a lot of time to get our amenity staff ready for you guys.
And then, on their end, can you post something for the work?
Yep.
So we directed that.
We're working on replacing all the signage now that now the rules are finalized, we're good to go. So all of that signage in there is gonna be changed out. And that'll be on there. If we're doing amenity management, hey, call these people, do this.
Quick question, our website can be an easy area for people to, I don't know, look, or, and that's something those websites.
What we'll do is we'll put a link, our amenity folks have a direct email just to them. So they'll have a link and we'll say, hey, for all questions about your cards or the room rental, here's who you contact. And they're really good about getting back to everybody. And that, again, that's their primary function.
And then to pay, you have to send checks.
They can send checks, they can bring it down. I think we can put a slot in the door.
I think we can put a secure slot on the door would be an option for them as a second thing, but my concern is, the only concern that I have really with that is someone saying, oh, I brought it in, I put it in there.
Yeah.
And I prefer, anytime we have this, they can mail their checks, they can drop off their checks.
Yeah.
And
That's
you
the-
guys can have a process payment through phone
Yeah.
with a credit card.
I'll have to look. There may be some technology available now. I know that for a while
Cash.
we can take cash. With the auditing, it gets a little tricky. They don't like us taking cash.
But if you can do cards.
We'll find out. Let me find out.
Because then if you have it, on phone, they can pay it right there. There, you can do a hold or the deposit.
Like typically it would be easy for, let's say, someone to go on the website and fill out a Google form to book
Yeah.
a room, but the only concern that I have is you booking a room and not being paid for and someone can't come by and actually book it. It's
Correct.
kind of a
Right.
first come, first served type.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Who's good?
Yeah.
So once it's booked, I guess it's considered booked once you have a deposit.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, it's money, right?
And typically,
It's free game to whoever shows up first.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's why, I think this system will work.
Yeah.
well here.
and like I said, they manage these at many communities that we do that are similar to this. So they're good at it. The next item, you guys did ask to bring back reserve study proposals. We did reach out and get an alternative proposal that actually was a little cheaper. So you've got the reserve study, reserve advisors proposal, which was the one you saw last year. That one's $5,000. And then we were also able to get a proposal from Reserve Study Institute. And theirs was $3,400. Now I've not worked with Reserve Study Institute, but it looks in large part very similar. I mean, it's kind of the same. In a lot of ways, they really do the same type of work. So they'll come out, they'll look at all the facilities that we tell them are CBD. They look at the condition of it. They apply, some factors as to the lifespan of that item and how much it would cost, and then they lay it all out on the spreadsheet. See the way it works. So again, we've got both of those proposals there for you. We can take any questions or comments on those.
Do you see other districts using reserve study
Oh, yeah.
to manage their reserves?
It's a thing we like to do. I mean, about every 10 to 15 years, we tend to recommend somebody do this. Pricing changes. They're not always, it's not an exact science, I'll say that. So, if they come out and look at your pool, for an example, and it lasts 3 years longer, their report's not going to say it. But it is a tool that says, okay, if we want to keep maintenance of our facility, this is the amount of money we should be setting aside on an annual basis, just to kind of keep up with everything. So it's a good tool for your budgeting. That doesn't mean that you have to do it, but it does give you some basis if you're looking at an assessment increase. that you can point to and go, hey, we've done our research. This is what the company is saying that, the amount we should have in reserves, and this is why we're going with that assessment.
This encompasses basically all of the classes in the coverage.
Correct. So again, I don't know that we have a preference. I mean, again, I've worked with reserve advisors. I've not worked with the other firm, but in looking at their website and looking at their proposal and documents, it seems like they're capable of doing it. So I wouldn't have any opposition should the board choose to use them.
I've seen proposals from them before, and usually they're not representatives of advisors. That's why I'm kind of like wondering why they've been so much trouble. Okay.
I make a motion for, the third study institute for $3,400.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for Reserve Study Institute. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Proposal,
Okay.
this is why I okay.
No, that's it. We continue.
The cheapest one, when you don't look.
Motion is already over.
The only one that I got is the
The motion is already over.
you mentioned, that's it.
Motion is already over.
What do you want?
All right, yeah, the motion passes 3-1. The next item we have is going through the records of the district, and we just noticed that the registered agent office had not been changed yet formally to resolution. So this would just be kind of a clerical issue, just changing the registered agent for your district to Kristen's office. And that's really important for any legal notices that the district might receive that directs them to her first and foremost to handle any official kind of notices that we might get from folks.
That's right. So we're listed as a registered agent at the CDs that we represent. So I'm confident that if Scott had gotten it's a complaint or something like that, that would have been forwarded to us.
Yeah.
We have attorney ethics rules and things that govern that. So I agree. I think it's important that we just formalize
Yeah.
the registered agent. And then it will come like a OD.
No, I mean, it's required. So when you go to Sunbiz or when you go to any of the registered places, you'll just see the name. It just formalizes the switch.
So some days it's only the cost, right?
No.
Some days.
No, that's not even a cost. It's just a filing. So you file the paperwork and they change it. There's no cost on it.
So if someone wanted to sue the CDD, they would go look for who's the registered agent right now, probably Scott Clark, so they would be sending a complaint for service on him.
I'm surprised it's free.
Right?
Yeah.
Any more discussion?
So I make a motion to accept resolution 2024-041.
We have a second.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. After that, we've got two discussion items, and we can start with the spike strips, and I think Kristen maybe could be better.
Sure, yeah, no,
I'll run
I'll
through
leave
this
this on. So, as the board knows, we have looked into the spike issue, and the board had previously decided that they wanted to remove the spike strip, and there was a proposal that was approved for $2,800. And so we looked back at the agreement with the private management company and said, well, we're going to seek reimbursement from this management company, for the contract management company, for the removal repair. And they came back, and we also sent them, because we received several requests for reimbursement for new tire damage from residents. I think the current total today is $7,450. Okay, so that's residents who have submitted claims for replacement of their tires, who claimed that it was caused by this. So that's another question about, do we have evidence that it was caused by these particular spikes? If it was caused by these particular spikes, which all of the residents have submitted a claim, those are thoughts we think about when we're talking about, is safety responsible, is it harmful? But long story short, Invermar came back, it is is rejecting the claim and request to reimburse the CDD for the $2,800. They said any issue that resulted in the spikes is because normal wear and tear caused some of the spikes to become loose. And they said as courtesy, we'll come out there and tighten the lead spots. But they said that they do not believe that any defect in their work caused the loose spikes or caused these tires or causing the defect in the current spikes. Okay? And if you want to add anything else on there.
I think I
they
heard
also-
right on the email that they mentioned that they called for maintenance.
That's correct. So they also stated that they recommended to the prior board a maintenance plan for the site strip. And they said, in addition to us not having proof that we did anything defective in our installation, and we believe that any issue that currently is going on with the site strip is caused by normal wear and tear. In addition to that, they have taken the position that they warned the prior CDP board and that they recommended a maintenance plan to avoid, situations with the site strip. We've been told that they recommended, I think that Jason has reviewed at least the meeting minutes and the agendas.
I mean, I didn't see anything, again, the minutes are in summary form, so I don't think we saw anything, where they had a formal maintenance plan. There may be some argument over to what is the maintenance level of a strip supposed to be anyway? But I think the long story short kind of is that the insurance company seems to be willing to pay these claims, but we wanted to bring that back to the board.
Yeah,
Just for any consideration. Now, again, it would be the insurance company paying the claim, so there's nothing out of pocket for the CDD. Your deductible doesn't apply, should you choose to want to, pay for these, or have the insurance company pay for the claims. It's not a district cost.
And now I wanted to do too, because I can continue with him for Mark's attorney or go back and say, we disagree because you show us where you recommended the maintenance to the board. We can continue pushing, but the more I get involved, obviously, the cost goes up.
Right.
We're talking about the $2,800, it's not really okay, it was an action taken by the board to remove the spike strip. And then also, we are considering as part of this discussion, the $7,450 that's being requested by residents to be reimbursed by the CDB. And so,
Well, by the insurance company.
yeah, by the insurance company, so, they're kind of two separate things, I think. So if you want to deal with both of those separately, we can do that. I think the first question is, do we want to pursue it from Mark Moore? Want me to go back in for Mark's attorney and say, we haven't located a record where you recommended this maintenance package to the prior board? You provide that to us.
I think just for a matter of principle, I think it'd be, I support you doing that, at least just to that step. Whatever they provide, we just have to, take it for what it is. I wouldn't want to pursue any litigation or anything like this, because like I said, it's only $2,800, it's gonna get its voted on. I'm just curious if they can produce documentation that they did suggest that, and that the previous board just didn't act.
Okay.
And I don't think that's gonna be very costly.
Yeah, and that can be done in 10 minutes. I think Jason could even do that too.
I mean, we can send an email just saying, hey, the board has requested any evidence supporting your claim that you were let the board know about the maintenance. I can do that. Yeah, that's,
I mean, we can fight that, I'm happy to fight that, we can see how that ends up. I think there is a very broad identification division in the agreement, but when we're talking about this now, it's a balancing act. Because the board wanted to go after or someone principal, do we agree that there is an issue with, so there's a lot of different, things to think about with the claim, and stuff. We can send that email, we can bring the board an update, but just want to give you an idea of what has transpired for that. Okay.
Now, what is the likelihood that our insurance is gonna go up as a result of these things?
I mean, I will tell you in frankness, your insurance is probably gonna go up whether you have claims or not. I mean, that's to the extent that actually applies, I don't know. I mean, we've seen vast increases over the last 3 to 4 years. sometimes to the tune of 12, 15%, 30% in a single year, even for districts that had no. I mean,
And I think too, just based on my experience, it also depends on how many claims the CDB is submitting, how much also for those claims, this is 7450. But another thing to think about when we're talking about whether we're going to reimburse residents for this is causation. Were our spikes defective? And if they were, did that defect cause this issue? And then also, if we reimburse these individuals, do you also set a precedent, you run the risk of every other individual coming forward seeking reimbursement, such as $7,400 claim could turn into something much larger. I haven't discussed that with you because that's obviously a risk associated with deciding to reimburse these. There may be 4 or 5 individuals that have requested reimbursement.
Three.
Oh, 3, okay, 3.
good luck.
So the total of $7,450. So that's something to consider. Yeah,
So how does a resident prove that? Or how do we prove that it did or didn't cause it?
I mean, typically what we'll do with these is we turn it over to insurance, we let them do their investigation, and if insurance chooses to, honor the claim, they've chosen to honor the claim. If they choose to decline the claim, they'll send a letter out to all those folks telling them that we've declined the claim. And, they've proceeded. In this particular case, they've asked us how we would like to proceed with it, which is a little unusual. So I think they're kind of probably on the fence with it and kind of looking for us to provide them some guidance. My typical approach is I tend to lean towards the side of the residents. So in this case, I would probably say just go ahead and pay the claims for now. Those folks have to, sign waivers that, this is the claim, this is what they settled for. Obviously, we've removed the spike strip, so I think any future claims would be hard to prove at this stage. But again, it's really up to you guys and how you prefer to kind of approach the situation.
yeah, I mean, and normally in this type of claim, if they were, for example, for significant cause of action, they would have to prove causation. So they have to prove that particular spike caused the issue. If not for the defect there, then their tires would not have been broken. One thought is if those were defective spikes, then it would everyone have experienced or have had the same issue. All of the tires would have been broken, arguably. So that's a consideration, precedent, setting the precedent, that's a consideration. But at the same time, like Jason said, these are the claims that we've gotten, the spike strip is removed at this time. The insurance company, I guess, is willing to pay out. I would recommend that we put in there that there's no admission of liability on the CD's part, as part of the waiver that we would have them sign. And the insurance company would have them sign, that this is a no way admission of liability in part of the CDB.
I mean, I think, contending something like this with the residents is kind of like not appropriate in my opinion, because we're in the spikes and kind of like admitting something's wrong with them, and that's why they're removed. And it's gonna be hard to prove that they didn't cause it, so. I'm with Jason on that. The path of least resistance is just let the insurance handle it, and people are losing that.
Well, that's it, how the board would like to proceed. I would like to share with the rest of the board, with both of the residents, in regards to the spike strips. Meaning that I am part of the previous board. And you're right, I don't remember anything from the insurance company about the strip. I'm glad fully aware of. So you can see there, they were installed those spikes in 2022, right before the new elected supervisors got into the board. There were numerous claims against the previous board, we didn't pay zero, because there was either no proof or there was no clear indication that the spikes was a problem. The spikes were removed from the leadership in November 6th, Why? Because there was a noise in the entrance. That person is already out of the community. That person moved. And now the new person that lives on the same address, now she's claiming that she hear a lot of noises from the vehicles waiting to get in with the new system when the gate was installed. So there is always problems. And what it gets me is that the chairman here is the one claiming one of those three claims. And the other two people, he personally send the email or help those owners send the email to the manager. So pretty much it's a role in this situation. And there is also video on social media that he was against those spikes in the beginning. So this is a double standard that has been happening over the leadership. And I disagree to pay any claim to any residents, especially if the spikes are not longer installed. Because we, like you mentioned, we already are admitting that there was something wrong, but what was wrong? No claims were handled when the spikes were installed. So now we're gonna pay $7,000 or $7,450 just to move forward. I disagree with that. And I will for the rest of the board, what we would like to do, they would like to make a motion. That's up to them. And in this case, the chairman will abstain from voting, because he's the one that is getting any kind of interest. On this plan.
Obviously, I have to abstain.
Yeah, and so you wanna just go ahead and introduce the, you want me to go ahead and just.
Yeah, but it was with, Form AB,
Uh-huh.
memorandum voted conflict and council, municipal and other public officers, and I abstain for anything related with this that we're talking about right now, because I have a claim despite.
Correct, yeah, and so that's the legal requirement, you satisfied it, so you're permitted to abstain from voting, and then that form will be entered into the record, so that's great. So just so residents understand, he cannot discuss, the issue, so that's part of the extension law there, thank you.
Well, I would like to share more information. This was the problem with the spikes. The construction by Mattel, their vendor, when they were throwing all those papers. This is what it caused the problem. See all those papers on top of the spikes? That they were never maintained by the cooler board? That's what is happening. That's why the spike didn't work. Because they never maintained it. In a year and close, they protected it.
I think, I've been a resident here 20 years, and I've never heard something like this happening before. The supervisor just basically admitted that they've had claims in the past, which gives this situation like more validity. Rather than the dirt he's trying to throw on someone else. You know, if this was an issue of maintenance, used prior to the installation of those spikes, and it was the due diligence to present that to the new board that prevent the maintenance plan to be made. However, now there's a situation, he wants to rectify it by bringing the paper guy, that's just happened just a couple of months ago. You understand, spikes were cleared way before that. You know, and irrespective of who lives in front of the spikes, if it's a nuisance, noise, then, you know, it's fair, people buy houses to live in peace. I mean, no one wants to hear at 3 o'clock when the spikes going up and down. And I think this is just a perfect example of very poor management from the previous board of installing something that shouldn't have been installed to begin with. It was installed improperly. I provided the previous board with the manufacturer's instructions on how you install those spikes, and they failed to follow them. Instead, they used whatever they wanted to put in there. So, and they made several adjustments on those spikes after installing them. And You know, and now you're saying that Infomark is also claiming that they recommended a preventive maintenance plan that was never accepted by the previous board. So, you know, I just think that right now, Supervisor Combs has just provided a ton of evidence that the previous board was negligent, and I think he just didn't start liability on doing this. I still support that we should split the insurance.
So the previous board, when those spikes were installed in May 2023, they were not allowed to in November. So there was no time for a plan to maintain the spikes. They knew that because Inframark in the records had that information, that they need to continue or start with the maintenance plans. They never followed through. They never even submitted motion or provided any kind of information or guidance to Inframark when they were here, what was due to maintain the spikes, because there was not in their interest to maintain the spikes. And now we have this situation that, like, I spent more time on my letter than residents have. This was negligence in the beginning. This email that we have all in our agenda, this is right there. Inframark advised that the spikes creeks failed due to lack of maintenance. Lack of maintenance for now with the government. We were only there for 4 or 5 months before they took over.
Well, the state representative, the maintenance plan to the board, hasn't been us. We've been here in January, it's not, we didn't allow us to take our seat in November, we were supposed to be, you pushed it until January. It's January, we're sitting here, every meeting, Infomark has never, ever brought anything about the maintenance not being accepted in the past. And this is the first time that I'm hearing that they're saying that they're doing this to defend us from the shot and work that they did, and they don't want to. That's basically what this is about. We didn't hire a professional to do it, we let the management company take care of it, it failed, it causes a liability, and we need to just admit that that's what happened, and you just showed the evidence that that's happened. And I just, like I said, I support that the insurance handle it, because I think we don't know enough to be able to say that we can prove or not, whether those spikes were the culprit or not.
In my opinion, if you go through with this claim, you're gonna have losses on different owners. And that's that.
And I would think to you, or like information from them.
So we have a couple of, so we can table this, you've already directed us to reach out to Infomar to ask for some of the evidence, and proceed something to the prior board. We can table this until the following meeting to make a decision if you want to let this marinate and think about it. Or, you know, if the board wants to continue discussing, we can do that, and someone can make a motion, and if it gets support, then it will carry forward. Again, Chairman Bryce, not permitted to discuss.
One quick question, now, all these residents that are claiming they submitted receipts that they based their cottage?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm okay tabling it until we get more information from them tomorrow, if that's what the board decides.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Let's see what they get back with. It doesn't hurt anything if it's this long. And we'll see that it's still to be done.
All right, I'll reach out.
Thank you.
The next item is the discussion of towing services agreement. So obviously Chris and I have been kind of working on this over the last month or so since your last meeting. We looked at some Florida statutes, and, you know, there is a statute that says as long as the tow vendor is, you know, recommended by your local municipality, then you don't need to do a formal RFP for the process. We reached out to Osceola County Code Enforcement. They recommended 3 vendors that they use for towing. 2 of them are more junk related tows. So they won't come out and like patrol the neighborhood. They just come out and take abandoned vehicles and pull into a junkyard. But Magic Tow, which is the one that's in your agenda, they will kind of provide the service I think you guys are looking for. So I think in discussing with Kristen, if the board is amenable, we'd like to just go ahead and enter into their agreement. Kind of give them a chance. Obviously, we can always cancel it if we have issues with them as well. But we wanted to open that up for discussion. There would be 2 motions needed if you wanted to do that, which is to one, terminate the current contract with your current service provider that we paused, and then enter into this agreement with Magic Coast. But we can open it up for any discussion with the board.
Yeah, and I'll just add on to the board discussion too. So just to echo Jason, the statute says urges the CDD to engage in public bidding for their towing vendor unless the towing vendor is on the local government's approved list of towing vendors. Your local government here is Suffolk County. So you reach out to the county, they provide this agreement. Magic Tow, we actually send our form of agreement for towing vendors to them. And they said, I'm sorry, we don't sign outside entity contract. You have to sign our agreement. So I did review their agreement. I think our most important provision, I think is the identification. So the contractor that will agreement with them, identify us, needs to reimburse us for any of this fine. As a result of their own with the CDD, there's not a provision like that in the agreement. And at the same time, there's no waiver of claims by the CDD in the future if they cause some issues, litigation due to the result of it. So if we don't have that express identification provision in their agreement, which we to see, but at the same time, they need the requirement to avoid having to do public. I think my recommendation to the board is to give Magic Tow a try to sign your agreement. You need to understand the risk of that, and we're not under our same agreement that we had with towing in it before. But they do meet the requirements. You don't have to go through a public bidding process if you want to try them. If they don't work, then you go through.
We know any of the local communities that you.
I don't.
Right, I don't. I mean, the other vendor we use locally is a tow company, but they will only respond if called, which is not what you guys have. So.
So just put it in the notification. Our contract puts the liability associated back on them. The current contract that they're providing us doesn't have that, but it doesn't say.
It's silent.
So
So it doesn't foreclose the CDD's ability, if there was an issue in the future, for bringing a claim against, we have every other, we just have basic common law, it claims that we can pursue if there's an issue, there's service or contract, things like that, if we need to recuperate it.
it doesn't say that. It doesn't say.
So some agreements.
So we have to understand that.
Some agreements will say, there's a way, you are not going to be able to bring anything. As your back.
So I'm looking at that, understand that we had something that said if we.
There's nothing in the Florida statute that allows indemnification to the customer of the local company.
No, that's not a requirement in their agreement. They put in the requirements language under chapter 715, for example, the having an RV is specific number of miles away from where it's towed. But yeah, there's no requirement like that, but you have you still have claims that are available to you if someone damaged, because someone causes damages to you as an entity or a person.
The Magic Tow was and we use it as a cover, so we do the whole.
That's my understanding there.
I mean, they are ones that when code enforcement needs a tow, they're on the list that they get. So, I mean, I think that's kind of.
I'm just thinking customer interaction. If you're working with the county. Must have. Respect amongst the county use. Which are also probably in some very similar situations that we were hearing from our residents about, and how to handling those situations. If the county's happy. Yeah, because that will probably be that interaction. Opposed to.
And then, like you said, so this is the same as what we have, so we start with this company and next month we don't like it, we cancel it, and then the next step will be then meeting, because then we said, we don't have no more. promotions.
That's what my.
Yeah.
Yeah, to just be.
I know at least with Orlando, since we have some many, complaints, I think we have to, start. So I will make a motion just to, cancel the contract with Orlando that we made.
Yep.
With Orlando.
Okay, so that's the motion. We don't need Orlando.
I'll say.
Should I have a second to cancel the Tolando agreement? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Then is there a motion to approve the Mancheto's agreement?
Actually, let me see, just say, I think there was a 60-day termination provision in there, so.
Okay.
You will have, usually we do 30 in ours, there's a 60-day termination in there, that does, just keep that in mind.
Is it Orlando one or?
In Tolando, I don't believe it's, I'm looking right now, I check to see.
And we'll typically ask them. I mean, I don't know that they have, I mean, at this point, we've kind of paused them anyway for about 30 days, so they may just be willing to say we're done.
Yeah, and we're not, so this is unique to the net, we're not paying them.
Right.
We're not paying them, but the new company's gonna have to put the signage up and entrance and the community with their contact information, don't have to let you down. So,
Yeah, so there will be a time where, you're gonna have no tow vendor essentially, because there'll have to be some time for the new company to get their signs up, but they can do that pretty quick.
Mike told saying that it's 30 days.
the 30th?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which doesn't have a cancellation date. Oh, can be only cancelled this meeting in 30 days with notice. Oh, okay, so if they put a date on it. It's on page. Page 4 of the contract.
This agreement, which does not have a cancellation date, can only be canceled with 30-day written.
30,
Yeah.
okay. Excuse me.
And actually, the termination for your current vendor is terminated with written notice, so it can be terminated immediately, so.
Okay, so we're good there.
I make a motion to start the agreement with Magic Tow LLC. The one company.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. With that, we can go to a district council report.
Okay, great. So I have a few updates for the board. We talked about the site strip issue, so we're gonna table that, we're gonna bring it back. The other issue that we have been following is the truest fraudulent claim issue. You'll recall that there's 3 remaining charges, totaling approximately $9,000 and we're seeking reimbursement for. Since the last meeting, Truist sent denial letters. And those denial letters said that the claims were being denied because we did not report them on time. And we are entitled to see the documents to support their decision. So the private vendors who had reported those, super working with their accounts. So I have had a couple of phone calls and then they came back and said that they are denying the claim. Also for the approximately $9,000 because it's their position that they reported the claim on time. So I requested a phone call and basically said the CDD board is potentially going to bring some type of class action against you for whatever it is, and some other claims will feel that you may be entitled to. So we need your assistance because Truist will not speak to me, they will not speak to GMS.
Yeah.
They'll only speak to this private vendor with Lee. So he says that he is going to continue to work on finding out what are the specific reasons that Truist is denying reimbursing the fee for these claims. I think it's in our best interest that we continue to work it out with that vendors council with Truist. We need to find out what are the documents they're looking to do. And then whose fault is what we're trying to do.
And then if you continue with that, obviously, like the other thing with the spikes, obviously, we spend legal
Right.
time. If we get to a point where we keep denying or, and then
Yeah.
you move forward and you recoup some of the legal fees that we spend on meetings.
So it depends, if they've done a wrongdoing, if they've done a wrongdoing. Now they've reimbursed I think it was approximately 16,000. So the CD is going to reimburse for that. I believe the position is that it was actually the truth part, or that it should have been reimbursed. So in that case, it's not necessarily wrongdoing, but we are going to see about. And I will say that I would adapt the cost.
Oh, they're all right up on the stand-up there.
That their last month, money for that, so I'm trying not to be involved in it whatsoever. So my emails that are going on phone call, I'm sure it's possible. I've got Jason involved too. So
Can you
as
write
much
down
as
your
that
email address?
drag down, but it's just simply like, what's the reason for, why didn't you risk it on this fine? And I think we're both in agreement that we need to find that. Tourism needs to know that. Smaller.
So, what do you think that was like, let's just say, we'll
I'll email it.
decide that, we're not in buckets, there's no other things to do, so don't give it time of day. What we wish we had done.
Well, you could bring a legal complaint to private member for failing to notify the board of the issue, notify the council of the issue as well. You could potentially bring a legal complaint.
So how much time do you recommend that we wait for that to happen? 'Cause I'm thinking,
My recommendation is that we continue trying to get to a solution without pursuing litigation. Litigation, there is, and $100,000 very quickly, yeah. I think this is gonna take a lot of time. We're working with the commercial too, we're trying to get information, so. And there was a transition in trip management services, so right now there's an issue of who is able to access those documents that they're relying on tonight.
and you
And
can't request Mark to authorize DNS to do those documents.
We're not even, that account's actually been closed, so the account's not even open anymore for us to be added. I mean, we closed that account, as soon as we found those claims, we closed that account out immediately, because we didn't want to get tangled up in anything.
what we may have to do is go to Truist and say, what do you need from us? We are the CPT.
Yeah.
What do you need from us in order for, Jason to be authorized to have that? That's kind of where we're at. We're trying not to spend CPT money on it, we're trying to have the vendor or the council look into that.
What is the course of action if we would like to move forward with mediation on that case? Or what is the process and how much you think you need to be involved in that timely and of course, compensation?
So mediation basically is, so you probably heard of arbitration versus mediation. Mediation is where both parties go into separate rooms. Sometimes there's a mediator, neutral mediator that goes back and forth between both parties and try to do an agreement. I believe under the agreement with this particular vendor, there is a mandatory mediation requirement. So it would just be me providing those under that agreement to private vendor if we want to initiate mediation. That's an option too. That's cost. So I'm hopeful, what I'd like to see happen is you find out the documents that Truist is relying to deny. And we determine who is at fault. That person, entity will now reverse the CD, then you pursue litigation options. Does the board want to? Litigation probably in the ballpark of $4,000 to $10,000, depending on how long it takes. The mediations that last all day.
Well,
One thing.
pretty much right now, we do mediation, going back and forth, you know, it's kind of, we don't have a mediator, but.
Yeah, usually, you know, mediation, you're paying two lawyers, and they also pay a mediator, where parties are spending lots of that. So in an ideal world, we get to what happened here and what makes sense for, you know, moving forward. So I'll continue to be updated, that's where we are right now. You can tell me you want me to file a complaint, you know, tomorrow, and I'll do that. I just think at this point where we are, I think I would recommend that we just continue trying to work it out. Council, insurance, to find out why are those finding three charges. Do you understand?
No, I mean, I think, you know, we're trying to do it in the most efficient way for the district as possible without expending as much as we need to.
Yeah, because right now, imagine we keep going, we are already 10,000
Yeah.
legal, you know, and then to remove that, and if we don't remove any legal, and then they, you know, we have to, it's like what we were talking about with spikes.
Always down, yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. The other update is the boat ramp, there's questions about the boat ramp, and, you know, whose property is that boat ramp, and obviously, something taken down, boat ramp is an issue with it, but, so I will order a title work for this particular track. Currently, that track is owned by the county, by Silver County. And so, you know, I reviewed the title work, and I don't see that there was an easement or that the boat ramp was contemplated in any of the recorded documents, actually. I also have not seen the boat ramp in the flats. So I'm not sure if the developer, you know, maybe it was an accident, I'm not sure what happened there, but I've not seen a record of the boat ramp being accounted for in the public records. So what we can do is we could go to the county and ask for an easement for this boat ramp on the property. I don't foresee that the county would say no necessarily, but that's a step we can take. But I think before that, my recommendation is that we ask the district engineers to confirm if any bond funds were actually expended on the boat ramp. Because I see that they're referenced in the engineer's report for the boat, for the CD's prior bond issuances, but they would need to pull their requisitions, which is basically the district engineer has to sign the requisition, which is a form authorizing the CDD to pay the developer for work with the bond funds. So that is the way that we confirm, was bond money actually expended on this improvement? Because if it's not, then do we have a duty to do anything? Do we need to restore the boat ramp? That's just the decision of the board. We can always go to the county and say, can we have an easement of the property? We can do that at any time. But I think one important question here is, were bond funds expended? So that's my update. Now that's actually with the county. So we can directly go to the county and ask for an easement to put the boat ramp, you know, kind of restore the boat ramp if it's in disarray, or we can first find out if we're getting here, were bond funds expended out of the boat ramp, when and how much.
I'd like to confirm with the property owners, because I looked at the flats, and to me, it's not clear whether the property line for the CDD is before or after. Would they concern that?
I think that I had asked the district engineer to confirm with legally,
Yeah.
because they might have the initial development plans for the CBD. If they were part of the establishment of the CBD, they may actually have the approved development plans, have some plan that evidences the original intent for that boat ramp. So I think that's probably no one would do it. Ask the district engineer if they can check their file for development plan for the boat ramp. Because if they were engaged at the time the developer was involved, they may have a copy, usually they have development plans. They're part of the approval process for infrastructure and CDBs.
But you're talking now, what is the property line now?
Right, I'm trying to decipher, like, I don't know, I'm talking about the personal property, like, when I buy a piece of land, they put a lot in there and tell me this is where your land is. I'd like to see where that lot is, so that I know whether or not that whole ramp is our property or their.
So you have an option of a survey as well, but those are costly, so. Do you want to, or do you want to take public comment right now, or do you want to wait to the end for public comment period? Proceed.
Yeah, that's hopefully the county record, right?
Well, this is the property line.
Yeah, yeah, we saw that,
Yeah.
that's the confusing part, and that's what she's getting the title for, yeah. Thank you.
Chris, do you have any records, that you said that belongs to the county, since when that belongs to the county?
Yeah, it would be a deed, so we could find out that it was transferred, I believe that it was. Originally, at some point, it was part of a tax lien sale. or-
Money between, actually,
You know, that's me, for that.
Right, I can look at the title work right now to find out the date of that deed for the county, give you just one second.
I told the county about that property, just because I wanted to see what the status of it was, and see if it could materialize into anything valuable to the CBD, and try to acquire it back. Unfortunately, the response I got is that they mitigated all that land to wetlands, so nothing can ever be built there or used. So that's kind of, where I ended with that. So the question is whether the current dock is where it's at, and if it's on our property, their property, then the other question is, could we potentially move the dock into our property in the future? I'm not saying now, but financially, it's just not possible right now. But could that be an option, because actually, while it remains on county property, we're gonna lose the rights to the dock altogether. But if we purchase the dock, technically, it's our property, sitting in somebody else's property.
Well, I don't see, what I'm saying is, I looked through the title report, at least for this tract, which I can show you after. That got the parcel ID here, I don't see that there is an easement, I don't see that the original developer ever created an easement within that tract to give us rights right now it's the county's property. If the boat ramp is where I.
Yeah, that's right.
Where it is, you know, based on the feedback that I've gotten from district staff. So you have to go back to the county if you want to use it. I think, you know, and also an important thing too here is, do we have an obligation to do something? Was it financed with bond funds? You know, that was part of it.
That's the first one.
That's my recommendation. We can always, you can build a boat ramp, you know, anytime you want. And you can go to anybody and ask for an easement over the property for a boat ramp, but I think, you know, getting the answer from the district engineer to, do you have development plans for this boat ramp? Can you confirm where it is and whether bond funds were expended on? Did the CDD pay the developer something for the boat ramp? And did the CDD pay for restoration of the boat? Do you have a position to show? So those are records that district engineers usually keep. The deed to the county was, for 2020.
So developers are not required to, pull permits to the docks.
I wouldn't be able to speak to whether, you know, what requirements they had to abide by. I would imagine that they had some plans approved by the county or required to for the construction of it. But, you know, that's something also that the district engineer, usually when they do requisitions, the district engineers are sometimes the project engineers for developer too. So they may have some of those original plans or even approvals from the county for it. I wouldn't be able to speak to that. I think probably, if you're interested in this topic, I think as a first step, I recommend that you direct the district engineer to review their file to see if they have a development plan related to that boat ramp and any requisitions related to that boat ramp.
I work with the county first, because they're cheap.
Can't confirm if bond funds were used.
No, not that, it's something that, this bills and this plan for it.
Oh, I see, if they were in this permit, right?
Then we'll see who actually did it, and how the approval to get that permit.
I
The county,
right.
finish and all that stuff. Now, you know, if the county tells me there's absolutely no permit, they should never build that, that means it was That's kind of bill, and that's what we're in the situation we're in.
Yeah, I mean, but you're talking about several years ago, so I mean, it's kind of like, you're in the situation you're in, as far as going to get, claims against someone 25 years ago, there's statute of limitations, there's things like that, that kind of just like, moving forward.
No, but it's good to know the history, to know what the options are.
And I think-
A lot of people were sold here on the basis that this really has. Now we don't have this, we have a functional block.
And I think to support Kristen's kind of thought is that I think if the engineer starts looking at his files, if he has records of that boat dock. Because right now, I'm not even sure if we went to the county, what we would say. I mean, do you have plans for a boat dock for Villa Sol? They're probably not gonna be able to find anything that hits that target. But if they've got plans from the engineering office that says it was built on this parcel, then I can go, okay, this parcel is how we built it. What plans do you have on this? Just knowing how the counties work, you're gonna need a little bit of information to get anyone to kind of respond to you.
And that's important, because we need that closure, because we're talking about, and we have the opportunity not, because when if this disappears at some point, those residents are gonna be wondering, what happened.
And at least we have it on record.
I wanna make this a salvageable, it's easy.
Do you want to put like a not to exceed, as far as like no more than an hour, just for engineer, we can do a file, or, up to you, just throwing out ideas.
I think it should be, an hour should be, but I don't know how organized.
Do they have a minimum time to retire?
It's charged by the quarter.
We should give her the scope of an email, and you can respond to it.
Yeah, I want to just say an email, with Peter and Ray.
I will do the email, and I can give you an estimate of the amount of time it's gonna take you to research it and what the cost.
There we go.
And just so we know what we're getting into, rather than doing this, freelance and going.
Spend an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what we're gonna do, so we'll just bring that back to the board, the number that you need one. Okay.
And then since we're talking about times, also to figure out, I know, we talk again about Sangria Pond, just to see if the county or who's gonna maintain it, that area, because we need to start budgeting for that, if we're gonna do it, and the county's gonna be reimbursed, or how.
Yes, that one, the one
Yeah.
that's,
The one is correct. Because we have, half of it is ours, but then half of it is theirs. So we need to figure out, if we gotta pay, the landscaping company to do it, and the water management company that.
right, the planning, somebody, okay. I'm just out of curiosity, did the CBD previously maintain both of those water
Yeah.
bodies?
Yep,
So the CBD had been made.
correct,
Okay.
but it's because they didn't know all the issues that the county owned those.
Okay.
So they were doing it as if we owned them.
Okay, we could try to pursue some type of cost sharing agreement with them. Or, alternatively, the CBD could elect to maintain all of it, the entire pond. So it's up to the board and how you want to proceed on that.
Yeah, but they look there. So the pond here, I know, because I was completely and kind of over there. Here, I received a complaint that it's full of trash. Or that, do we know the company that do?
So none of these, the lake vendors, they will not pick up trash anymore. Anytime there's trash like that, we just have to have our crew come out and my crew comes out with a boat and pickers, and we get whatever we can that's, on the shoreline and things like that. Landscaper, if it's on the bank, where, as they're driving or weed whacking, if they can reasonably pick it up, they're expected to. If it's in the water, they won't touch the water.
And I know we talked about that, the trash that came from the storm drain all the way into there. And I know you mentioned something that you guys can claim, do a lot of maintenance. That kind of an agreement, just to clean up the storm drains,
Mhm.
So that's something I don't know for next or following up meetings to bring something where, because I see a lot of the storm drains.
If there's trash in the storm drains or in like the ponds, for example, we just would do that on our normal maintenance, come out here. I'll just schedule the guys, if they say, hey, typically, I can give you an example for another community down the street. We broke the community into 4 quadrants, basically kind of like his zone map that he has. And I would tell them, okay, go to this community for a few hours, work on zone green. So they would go there, they'd go through every single drain, make sure there's no trash in all of them. They literally use a pool net and rip out as much trash and stuff that they can. They'll do a visual inspection of the drain from what they can see. If there's anything issues, they would bring it up to me, but
Gotcha.
typically we would do that. Depending on time frame and cost, either once or twice a month we come out, it just depends on the size of the community, but we can get that done pretty cost effectively.
You had mentioned at a previous meeting that even though the county owns that property, we would be responsible for maintaining the structure of it.
Correct, some,
Is that something you do the cycle again, or still?
That-
I don't see an easement in the public record to support that, so.
Yes, it's all drainage. Was it, is the same way at the end here, the power going through
Oh,
over here?
I thought you were talking about the public, no,
No.
the storm. Oh, okay.
No, the drainage, cement drainage, you said that we might still own them. Going,
That's through that track.
well, I wanna know officially, I don't know.
Yeah, I can check for any easement as to that.
Please share with us.
And the 2 Jasons, so you can publish it.
I think in 2021, that's when we lost that because it's got 78 in the back when the developer bought it. All that's going to be developed all the way to Fort Road. 2,500 houses here.
Yeah,
That's 10 years.
Yeah, the CDD lost it in 2015, then they got bought by, some people bought it, they couldn't construct, and then they sent it back to the.
I'll just send this real quick. Yes,
But the CDD lost it.
I need a full stormwater map. That's what I think. And I can look through and see. You don't need to apply it and you can see exactly what.
You know, that's. Then garbage cans and benches back in that property.
I say that.
So the other thing,
What-
because if we really don't have any easement or access or anything, I don't think we should keep paying to maintain that, we're paying more.
Well, actually, let me see, there is a declaration of stormwater drainage easement in 2015. So I can take a closer look at that if you like.
That's what storm.
This is a stormwater. easement. This may be over.
Would that cover the green area? You know, just to mow, maintain the lakes, the ponds.
Just my cursory review of it doesn't appear to be so. The right to drain, flow, retention and detention of stormwater from the district lands into and throughout. But those are things that we can take a look at, regardless if we're performing maintenance on the county's pond or on the county's landscaping. We go to the county and say, we're doing this, will you contribute to the cost of this through an interlocal agreement? Will you contribute to a cost sharing agreement, something like that? Just an acknowledgement that we're mowing the lawn back there, would you contribute your share, the portion share of the center?
Or they can give it back.
You don't have trim anymore.
Well, they know the water into that other pond. They should be paying for a compensation.
I think they need wetlands. They need wetlands.
Okay, so do you want staff right now to reach out to the county to find out? Are
That's what we said,
they
the first step would be the engineer, because we have to.
That's the boat, yeah, the boat ramp, okay.
Oh, you mean the drainage?
I'm talking about the maintenance of the pond, because I think the agreement for pond maintenance was brought up, and the idea that, you know, they own a portion of pond that we're maintaining.
Let's find out what we do.
Are they willing to contribute? Jason, are you comfortable reaching out? to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
county on that? I think that's just a regular cost sharing concept that.
Yeah, because if
be
we pay
involved in
for,
drafting the agreement if they agree to it. And then we maybe get an understanding, are they also mowing up the grass?
Yeah.
Do they realize that we're mowing, do they realize we're paying for farming, things like that, no. Okay, and then you're also giving us direction to conform with the district engineer, their knowledge of the execution. Okay. The last thing that I want to talk to you about, the HOA, the clubhouse rental that came up a while ago. Or the HOA wanting to rent space in the clubhouse. The lease space in the clubhouse, so reached out to, your bond counsel. And she confirmed that this is free of charge, so her responses on this, that's basically the response to the question she's posed. And it turns out that their opinion would not be straightforward, that they would basically prepare an invoice, I would bring it back to the board. And you would be able to analyze whether you want to move forward with it or not. But basically a lease gets into the private business use, there's a lease of government bond finance property. So we're in internal revenue code, private business use of public government property, with IRS issues with that. And that's why we have to go to bond council, because a lease is considered actually a private use, it's not a government that leases to. Or not the CDD that we're involved with. So anyway, she's posed some questions that also require the district engineer to review their requisitions. They're going to pull the requisitions, and she wants to know how much of the 2003 to 2018 bond proceeds was spent at Clubhouse, because they have to do the tax analysis to determine if you met this 10% private business use tax under the Internal Revenue Code to allow you to do a lease to a non-government entity. Okay, and then also she'd like to know how much did it cost to construct the clubhouse in total. These are figures that CDB engineers generally keep, and they have because they're related to the requisition. They have to sign off on it. Every time the CDB pays the developer for work on the bond funds, the trust indenture for the bonds were part of the district engineers. So that's why we're saying that the district engineer most likely has it. I don't want to direct the district engineer to do this because it's gonna incur another cost without bringing it back to the board and signing it going forward. We have other CDBs that ask the requester to pay for the costs of the CDB staff to look into issues like this. So that's also, if we go back to the HOA and say, if you don't mind, asking our district engineer to look through your files and get answers to these questions. But we want you to basically enter into a funding agreement with the CDD where you'll pay for the CDD's costs because you're requesting a lease of the CDD's property.
good question, I know that's about lease and everything, now that we talk about easement, can that, a CDD do an easement on the office, let's say the one, so it's just as used, it's open for the CDD to go whenever,
The choice, so they wouldn't be paying anything.
Let me ask you a question on that one. So how, because I know libraries, hold HOA meetings all the time. So how do they do it? They're government, are they kind of doing this?
Yeah, I don't know how those libraries were financed per se, that.
Yeah, they might not have been financed with bond funds, which is kind of the trigger here,
What's the
so.
problem with the bond issue?
This, yeah, what we're triggering by a lease is the private business use test, and that's an internal revenue code provision. Okay, and that's the same 10% private business use that we're triggering when we talk about management service agreement. We're in that same issue. Okay, this is bond finance property, so we've got to look at the private business use. So,
That's for them to pay.
right, if
Yeah,
you were
let's
to give them a
Right.
lease, if you were gonna do a lease. And also, I mean, as far as the clubhouse goes, I mean, you can rent your HOA. You don't need to get a bond council for you, and you could, just like you have room rentals for this space.
Right.
They have to pay the fee, and they can rent the spaces and have HOA meetings, just like the library. But I would imagine that the library would be a similar predicament if government bonds finance their library and they were going to lease to a private entity. they probably be in the same predicament, but I can't really give anything about that.
And when we're talking about this, is to make, it's like that road is gonna be only for them, and nobody else can go.
Right.
Okay.
The plan rental would be short term, opposed to long.
So
term.
you have an amenity policy in place right now that allows 4 to 6 hours use of space. But a lease is, I'm going to pay you thousands of dollars for private use.
Right.
When we lease, if we're property owner, we lease our, we no longer, we don't have certain rights. We're subject to that lease. And that's, it's in the code that a lease qualifies as a kind of business use. So that, we can't get a limit.
I'm thinking of this, very big at least, regular rent.
Yeah.
Rent that office. Long. And around. So I'd be a tax that go through, saying, we're renting that office. For a long period of time. Because, you know, this day before.
Yeah.
But that probably is something you should have thought about last.
Yeah, I think we're kind of in the same ballpark, really, to be honest,
Yeah.
because it's, you know, you've got.
I think if you're exchanging a dedicated space that's only theirs for money, I think that triggers it in any case.
You're just.
If it's a dedicated space, again, now if they're.
So if everybody can use, then it's not, you know.
I mean, right now, everything is first come, first served, besides this room, so.
What
I mean,
would it show? It shows storage. That different, I don't know what the issue is actually doing this.
Was it an office space or?
They.
And that's we only have, right,
Yeah.
places,
Yeah.
what stuff, and we look for office, but we're looking to store things. I mean, I know that space would be perfect, having a little extract things in there, and, you know, it's worth using as a city entity this year.
Yeah,
But
and
we use that
if
as
you're
shared.
looking to like a license agreement, I think it was originally posed as a lease for an office space, I would say, so. That gets us into different category of license. But yeah, I guess we need to reach out to the HOA and basically.
Make sure what it is.
How does it work in other districts with HOAs and CDDs? Like, they all pay to use the facility? Because the problem I have with this is, to me, it seems like I'm just giving money out of here, but it's in the pocket. And we're basically just shifting money around entities that it's all coming from the same bag, you know,
Yeah.
it's the residents. That are paying the debt.
Yeah, the issue is that if you start differentiating and saying, okay, this HOA doesn't have to pay, but this other organization does have to pay, it could be construed as a discriminatory act against that entity.
So that's what that's how we're going to get in, that's true.
I think a lot of legal counsel would recommend that you apply the policy equally to all entities or people that try to use space. And I think in practice that might vary, but you know, you run the risk of an entity objecting, you didn't allow, you waived a fee for that, or you did it. But that's, you know, just not.
CDBs and see, and find what, some of our, some of these HOAs.
Right, yeah.
But I don't believe that every CDB is collecting.
They're not, and as, you know, some of our CDDs have different policies, so the board will set a policy. So that it's not discriminatory, so it's not at anybody's discretion, so they would set a policy that says. You know, as a board, we vote that the HOA, you know, for room rentals can rent it once a month at no fee. Or, you know, they put some limit on it, which the challenge is you don't want them coming in here every single night and taking up a room. Or you want them to go through some type of process where, you know, just like a resident, they'd have to book it 2 weeks in advance or enough time. But some of our districts go both ways, and some of them just, the board sets a policy that we agree that this is a common room for the benefit of the residents. The HOA is a benefit for the residents that the residents pay for. So they don't view it as like a private party rental. They allow the HOA to use the facility. So that.
And then when you mention policies, they have to be what, just a regular motion?
Typical policies are kind of regular motions as well. but I defer to Chris.
Yeah, I
How you
mean,
wanna-
if, you know, you brought up, if it's an HOA meeting where you're restricting people from coming, you know, it should
Yeah.
be a use, whereas the party rentals,
Is a private,
that's a private, so you're restricting people.
yeah.
So there could be ways around it.
Pretty much in the losing.
Obviously,
Oh, sorry, no. Do you email the sample from the community that is doing that? Just try to see what the language is. like?
Yeah, let me check with our amenity folks, because I know they.
I'm just trying to figure it out. Yeah. Just.
yeah, if you can share, you know, with everybody.
Yeah.
on this.
Yep. And I mean, some of our districts have built that into the rules. I know like at Randall Park, they built in an exclusion for, you know, nonprofit organizations once a year can, you know, book the room for no charge. I mean, so there's certain conditions that they built in. I think at Randall Park, they don't charge the HOA when they look to book the room. Again, some just kind of set that as policy of the board.
That would be a good community, you know, a lot of their amenities are similar,
Yeah.
they do a lot of things that we do. They just.
Okay, so we talked about that, all right, so I guess on that note, do you want the district engineer to hold the requisitions for the clubhouse? I mean, that's what your bond council needs in order to complete her analysis. So that's up to you, we're in the same situation with the.
That's to do at least for the private.
I just think if we're doing that for the benefit of the HOA, then, you know, if you can get a guesstimate more or less what it's going to cost, and it's supposed to the HOA, if we're going to pay for it, it's fine. This should be for that. because-
Do you want me to reach, I can reach out to the HOA and kind of see if I can get a little more clarity on what they're looking for, and then let them know that if there's cost to be incurred from us researching that, are you willing to pay it? And I think that would be a better start than reaching out to the engineer, let's at least kind
Yes,
of.
Yeah.
Yeah, get confirmation on what they're looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay, so that's all we have to offer for you today, but I think you have any questions.
Do the district manager report. I do have two quick updates before we go on. So obviously I sent you out the request from the Amazon earlier today. So the request is, and we've got it at almost all of our communities with gates, is they attach a device to your gate. That way the Amazon truck doesn't have to really stop. My guess is, again, I just want to inquire for you guys if you even want us to look at it more or bring them in to kind of give you more details on it.
And that's obviously used on the resident side.
I would, yeah, I'm assuming they don't really want it on the visitor side, because if they put it on the visitor side, they're still gonna have to wait, and they're gonna want it on the resident side. So the question is, do you even want to pursue that? As a question, I will say most of our boards have chosen not to. They just say, listen, the Amazon, we have public access, the Amazon truck can get in through the public access way.
That's what I was writing to you, but. then
Yeah.
someone said, "You can see
I got it so late, I didn't have a chance to put it in there.
Because someone's really said you got the public code, the only delay you're gonna have is somebody wasn't reading the screen.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
are lost, but pretty much the last time I was at the gate, everybody was running. Not even 20
Yeah.
seconds, and they were moving.
So this is one go for Amazon, well, then you guys.
The way, well, each one of those has their own similar system, and what we've seen is just what you said, is so if you approve the Amazon one, suddenly UPS will come knocking at your door saying, we want to put one in, and I mean, again, if we always inquire with our boards before we even proceed with any.
And do you know how to?
No, I mean, I think Remington was the other one in the local area, and their gate is open, their gate only closes from 6 to 6 PM to 6 AM, so they just said, forget it, you can go through the guard if you need to come in during those times, so. And again, I don't feel particularly good about putting that on the resident side, because that kind of defeats the purpose of having the transponder. Sure. Right. And here's the thing, if it becomes a problem in 6 months, I've got the guy's information, they can put it back at any time, you can't, once they put it on, it's gonna be hard to remove. So, okay, that's fine, and then, also want to let you know, we were just notified earlier this week, actually, I think late last week. The Form 1s that you fill out annually for your financial disclosure, they haven't told you yet, because we just found out, but they are They are, well, no, the Form 6s you do not have to fill out. So that does not apply to you guys as CDD board members. That's good. The other thing that's gonna, the change this year is all of your Form 1s are done through electronically. There is the Florida Department of Ethics has a link. We're putting together some directions for you that we can send you out. I actually went through and did mine. It's really easy. It's more like TurboTax. It kind of guides you through filling in each box. You'll get an email at the end saying, yes, we've got your form in, but you won't turn the forms into the county anymore. It's all going to be done through their web portal, but it all is all web-based. There is no paper form to fill out anymore. So we'll send you some links, but I wanted to get you that in advance. And also some of the new things we're finding, that ethics training we talked about. That applies to your 2024 submission of your Form 1, which is not the one you're turning in this year. So the one you're doing this year is for calendar year 23. But at some point in calendar year 24, you'll have to take that ethics training that'll apply you to the next Form 1 you'll fill out. We've got some links that we're putting together some more information too, and I know your council's probably keeping an eye on that too, but things are changing very rapidly in those areas. But I did want to kind of let you know, it's the Florida Department of Ethics. And it's, like I said, it's really easy to fill out but you do have to go, it's like any website, you have to go on, put your email address in, they'll send you a link, then you register for the site. And once you're in the site, it's easy. But,
What's the deadline?
July 1st. Yeah. So we'll keep you up to date, and we keep track of, we've got people in our office that monitor as you turn your forms in. Fines start in September, so we always try to make sure we catch you kind of at the beginning of that time to make sure you don't get fined.
They're constantly reaching out.
So with that, we can.
Now you
continue.
mentioned that
Yes.
for election.
Yes.
When we would announce again for people,
Yes.
register and all that.
So that I believe is I think they do that in June, is the time, the official qualifying period. As we get closer, we'll get notification from them on the exact dates.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
so to register, you can do it from March.
And I actually, for the most part, I think they typically will accept your registration very early in the process. So always check with the supervisor of elections. And again, I believe the Form 1 that you submit normally to them now will go through the Department of Ethics too. So they're going to have to do some training on how to get people there. So with that, obviously we can answer any questions you get on that, and we'll keep you up to date. We just wanted to get you kind of started thinking about that now as we find out.
Question.
Yes.
Recently, ethics, professionally, I take ethics inside training, my brain training for my goal as a professional. Does that apply to any of this, or is it more?
What's the subject, bribery?
Ethics insider training, what courses, it's about a 2-hour course.
Yeah.
Internally developed by the corporation, but I didn't know if that applies.
So it has to cover sunshine law, ethics law, and then also public service law.
No.
For locally elected
Yeah.
government officials in the state of Florida, so unless it's like, it doesn't maybe be ethics, there might be a topic or two that
Yeah.
overlap, but they're pretty specific, like on the Florida Commission on Ethics website, there's videos that you can do. They're actually really helpful and informative. I listen to myself. So there may be some overlap, we can talk about it, but unless it's like, you're a local elected public official in your capacity with that training, I would probably say you're safe.
I just don't have.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
It's hard to do it. It's just-
Yeah.
it's just- You're doing it. It's like.
By when we're gonna have the links, like everything for us to do.
Oh, I can, yeah, they're available right now.
Yeah.
You can go take a look at them, happy to send them to you all.
Yeah.
Yes, that rolls 265 days.
Yes.
So if we do it January 9th, we are trading January 9th, January 10th.
At some point in 2024.
At some point in calendar year 2024, you will have to complete the training so that when you report it in 2025, you can check the box saying. I
But
did
it
it.
doesn't roll a year.
It's not 365, it's
Oh.
calendar. Yeah. So if you took it early in the year, then you can take it late the following.
Whatever you took Form 1, the next training is done.
Yeah.
You know, try to time on that, it's just within the calendar year.
Right.
Much easier, not
Okay.
trying to align.
Yes, so, and we're, you know, this is a new requirement, so they're coming down incrementally without actually administering. You know,
Oh, yeah, here it is.
when, so, but yeah, there are some really helpful links.
Yeah.
You can, if you're driving or, you know, you
Yeah.
can put them on, they're really great, so I can send you the link for that and kind of, I've had some supervisors ask, okay, well, I want to know exactly what videos, because there's quite a bit, exactly what combination of videos I can
Yeah.
do to satisfy. I can forward that.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Uh,
Start soon.
Now, that's why we're trying to keep you down but again, I will let you know, again, these things are, they kind of pass legislation without knowing how to implement it, so we're getting the implementation now, and it always is evolving, like she says, evolving as it catches up, so. The next item we have is the approval of minutes. We've got the minutes from your November meeting in summary form. We can take any questions or comments or a motion to approve.
Can I ask a question?
That's up to the board.
I wasn't here, so I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
All right, so we're good for two.
Yep, yeah, they've been changed, yeah. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from November 14th.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion, you can't.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
we'll get it.
That's it. You have to be in.
Yeah, no worries. All right, passes all in favor. The next item is the check register. We've got checks 5791 through 5814 for $31,353.06. We've got a summary of all those invoices that follow, and both Jarrett and I can answer any questions you might have on those invoices, or we can take a motion to approve on that. What's that?
The Orlando second one, the third one, on page one,
Mhm.
why don't you?
That's their cost to put the ad in the paper. I mean, that's a rulemaking hearing, so it's a larger ad. I will note that we've seen increases in all of those advertising costs. I think the newspapers don't have a whole lot of sources of revenue anymore, so these require notices.
That information, I'm sure.
No, it's right there in the government announcement section.
Page of the page.
Yeah,
Now that you mentioned newspaper, the newspaper outlet, newspapers, they'll sell, like I said, throwing the, you know.
what they said is, I finally got somebody to answer my question. They have said if we provide them a box. So I'm trying to get information on what type of box would be sufficient for their purposes.
Yeah, great.
Well, I'm sure they're not looking for that, but I'm trying to determine
I
that.
think Orlando said something, newspaper holder, I think show or something like that.
Well, where I'm still trying to work through that.
Yeah, because it is better than having them all over the driveways
Yeah.
and people that want to come here, pick it up, they got a key, they can come in.
So why all the residents don't get things that here?
I have no idea.
We can verify with them, why they only deliver like 3 streets.
I can ask, I'll ask the
I
question.
think, you know, unfair, that they're doing that for some residents and not for all.
I know that this is the view,
But I think that putting the newspapers here in front of the house will probably be the best option, whoever wants it can get it.
We'll keep working through that one.
anything else in the text?
Is there a motion to approve?
Do a motion to approve, the check register.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Behind that, you've got your balance sheet and income statement. There's no action required on these, but it's here for your information. I think everything's kind of fallen in line the way we would have expected it. Obviously, we've had a couple big expenses in the general fund, and I think as we go through the year, those will level out a little bit more. And with that, we've got your sheriff reports. I will note that since the gates have been open, we've stopped those sheriff patrols. So again, it's up to you guys if you want to reinstate them, but for now, we've not been doing those.
And he's way on spending security, because we're working security, or we.
I'm trying to get some information from them on that. They didn't respond to that one yet. But I've got it on my list.
It's better than having the patrol.
Yeah.
Security can help with phone and me as well.
Yeah. Sure. With that, we'll turn it over to Jared for all the field. We got. Okay.
Right, good work, Jared.
Yeah.
Just for the if I can move. When we're in the tax year, when do we start getting that income and we have, a certain percentage?
So that typically comes about January, so this only reflects through the end of November at this point. I would say that by your next meeting, you'll see the huge chunk comes in. Yeah, they
1 month and.
they run about 2 months behind on those collections, so that's, November 30th is typically when they get the huge collections in, because that's when you get your 4% discount. And so that's when we get the large.
No, I know it's time to start paying us.
Yeah, we've got, it's trickling in. We'll get a good flow next month. Yeah. You're welcome.
All right, there you go. Okay, starting off, we were asked to put up some Christmas decorations last minute. I know we had discussed having potentially some community volunteers or community volunteers come up and do that. We had reached out to insurance and it was going to be an additional cost for each person. They needed to know specific information of how many people were going to be volunteering, what day were they volunteering, what were they doing? Like it would create too much of a process and we weren't going to be able to get it done in time for Christmas. Then it was requested that for now, we just get something up there. I tried to be as frugal as possible using donations that we had previously had and got a couple of things. It just was not working at the first. So I called Clayton and for our Tampa communities, they do Christmas decorations where they order from professional companies that supply that stuff. So it was decided that anything that we had done labor-wise, we weren't charging you for the original installation. They came in, we brought a crew, redid the installation there, and still utilized some of the newer stuff that we had purchased just to add something. But typically when they do it there, they need 3 months of planning because they have to order from Kentucky and other warehouses like that. So we did the best we could with what we had, but going forward, I would recommend having this be a full line item if you want to continue doing Christmas decorations. And
It was better than anything we've had in the past, so.
I just want to be clear, like, I am not somebody who's gonna, like, if we do a bad job, we did a bad job. I'm not gonna stand by that. We're gonna get somebody else and at least try to rectify what we have.
Budget that, districts.
Randall Park, for Christmas lights, we did what, 10,000 roughly, might have been
Yes.
just slightly over.
Yeah, I've got a community in Melbourne that does 17,000 worth. I mean, it's.
But they use it, but they don't use it every year to $70.
Yeah, every year.
Every single year.
Yeah,
They don't
that's it.
keep using the stuff they already bought or something.
So what they've used is they use a vendor that comes out, so the vendor owns all of the material. They buy the material for the district specifically. They keep it, their job is to maintain it. They come out to make sure it's working constantly. Yes.
I'd like to see some, snap it back.
I'll show you, I'll bring you a
It's
picture.
kind of like, run in the middle, and kind of go budget friendly, kind of go in the middle, and have a squares.
We did have one that showed up at Remington that was not as expensive, so we can get you that information. And the best that what they do is they'll come out and they'll they'll take pictures and show you what it would look like.
Correct. That's what most
I
companies
would
do.
say, of course, not that you did a bad job, you did a good job with the circumstances, but, this would take a lot off the back too, and then get them on time, and
That's typically how we do things. Like at Randall Park, we had the contract for that signed way early. So as soon as it came time for Christmas, they were already going up, ready to go, done. We did it at another community. So Randall Park was more of a fancy version with garland everywhere. They
Yeah.
wrap all the poles, everything looked good. Then in another community, it was probably, I think it was 6,000 total. And it was one strand of lights around a building and a wreath. Like it just depends on what you're getting and what company. But I would recommend. It's harder for us to do it because all of our crew that would be doing that is out of Tampa. And they're busy with all the properties on there that don't have any amenity management or volunteers or anything like that. I would recommend either planning for volunteers, and if we're gonna do a volunteer, we do volunteer sign up, volunteer day, go through the insurance, you can do that route, or it's just best to go with a professional company that does this for a living. So we can bring proposals at that time, but I would say add a budget line item for this if it's something that you want going forward.
Just the volunteer thing was an idea that we was trying to kind of bring the meeting together and do something positive.
I think,
Then, I thought, the HOA would provide liability, I think that CBD has to provide.
If they're on, I mean, again, and it's approximately, I think about $800, depending on, I mean, we have to kind of know what the roles are. And we could certainly get that policy for the district if you choose to go with the volunteers. But it's kind of, the insurance has let us know that it's a technical thing. So even if it's a volunteer on CDD property, they're technically working for the district. So we need to have some type of workers' comp to cover, should something occur. Otherwise the insurance won't cover it.
Yeah, I thought it would be kind of like, when we did the barbecue, that the HOA kind of put the liability and indemnify this district. I thought that was kind of what we were moving toward, but then when it comes to workers' comp and all this stuff.
I mean, that's
More than.
you start putting people,
Once we could say insurance, the capacity of HOA, if they,
Because the HOA has insurance.
Yeah.
they may say the same thing. You still have individuals out there.
I think they view events and volunteers as kind of different
Yeah, I
categories.
think some of that can be done as no cost to the district. Good, and it's not, I have to bring that professional. It's the best, but I think that should be passed.
Yeah, so for the budget, let's work something here this year. Put some money aside.
So by the time we move the budget for the next fiscal year, it's still a good time to arrange for federation.
correct.
Well, the time to arrange it is almost now, or kind of figure out what you're looking for, the range you're looking for, and yeah.
The planning process, we would start, like I said, relatively now. Typically, when we're making budgets, we start February for some places, and then between February, March timeframe is really when we're starting to knock out that stuff. So we would, at least on our end, if we were to ever do it again, I need a few months' notice, just so we can have orders and everything. The lights that we have purchased are all here, they're inventoried, they're in new boxes stored. They will be here, that they can be used whenever you guys want.
And at least for the proposal, what I would suggest is just to do only the front for now, because, the budget.
Yeah,
I would thought instead of using the clubhouse, only the front.
Yeah,
Just
and that-
find a proposal, how much it's gonna
Yeah.
cost to make the water fountain and everything. The entrance to the place.
Moving on, so at the last board meeting, we did approve Five Star Pools proposal for repairing the spa. There was a discrepancy that was on my end. This isn't a nickel and dime situation. The money value that they had asked for in their proposal is the same that they're asking for tonight. I met with him out here. We had a discussion about what we were looking for, and I asked him, okay, just off the top of your head, what number are you thinking? He said somewhere between 6,000-7,000. Without looking at anything, that's what I'm expecting. When they sent the proposal, they had a few numbers at the top, and then the rest of the numbers were at the bottom. I thought that the bottom numbers were the total because it came up into that $6,000 to $7,000 range that we had originally discussed. But in actuality, the two numbers at top were added into it without me knowing. So the total, there was a discrepancy in the total, which I have the actual proposal for after the meeting. But I just wanted to be clear, this wasn't an issue with them. This was a my mistake type thing. But going forward, they've been great so far, taking over. They came through, pressure washed all of the black algae and everything off the pool walls, so that's all cleaned up. They've redone and cleaned all the pump houses, and everything is in working order. They fixed a couple clogs that had happened. There was a pair of sunglasses in the pipe systems that had to be pulled out and everything. So they've done a really good job of getting us as best that they can for the moment. And they added us into their skimmer reporting app. So anytime that they're here, I get a detailed report before and after. It shows what it was before. They shows all their chemical readings and everything. So we know exactly when they were here. So there's no discrepancy, and it's not something that they can boards. They have to be on location before the app even will activate.
And we keep those records.
Correct. But going forward, there was a electrical issue with the breakers that we're working with the electrician to fix now. For the moment, the filter grid is working fine. We haven't installed the new ones yet, but as soon as the breakers are done, and there's no more issues with any of the pumps or anything, then we'll put those in, just because we want to make sure
So the pool pump will stop.
for the pool pump, the breakers are running higher than they should be. So the electrician's coming out and just changing it and rewiring, so this should be fixed this week. But once that's done and finalized and we're good to go, make sure our amperage is good, then we'll put the new filter grid system in. We don't want to damage it potentially before that's done, so that's getting worked on.
You know, I can speak more
Yes.
the company from the previous pool company
Technically.
about, voltage regulator, because I know that's an issue there.
Mhm.
That's what it's been causing the pumps to get damaged and stuff. Can you find out with this new company to put a voltage regulator, just to make sure it doesn't, send any extra charge to the pump and then get another one damaged, because that was the main issue there,
Mhm.
the voltage was on. So I don't know.
Well, that's the
Yes, that's
we get advice from the street.
yes, that's the electrician will be here. He'll go out, and the pool vendor's working directly with them, so they know exactly what's going on. And like I said, the pool vendor is really good. He knows what's happening. He can identify issues quickly, and he always lets you know right away. So other than that, he's working with the local distributors to get the parts for the chairlift, just so there's new buttons. It works, but like I said, the controller doesn't have buttons right now, so you can have to put your finger in stuff, and we don't want anything like that. So they're just
Control.
the controller and battery spares and everything like that. So just so that it is, if somebody needs to use it, it's working. But other than that, like I said, the frame and everything is in good condition, so. Moving on to gate operations, we went into full effect at the end of November. We've been working continuously with residents and with the vendor to get everyone's stickers up to speed. It was a challenge because you had 200 people registered for the system and we have 500 plus homes, so lots of emails that week, but it did get up and running. I do want to, for the record, correct something in here. So I have it say, since operations began, the gates and barrier arms have been stuck multiple times. It's supposed to be struck multiple times. I just want to say, it wasn't on our end. People have, the way the gates work is, the gated barrier arm will stay closed, the gate will open up all the way, then the barrier arm comes up, so we don't have damage to the gate. That is the intention right now. But people see that as soon as the gate opens, they just start driving, bump the barrier arms off. And we have had vehicle hit the entrance gate, destroyed the entrance gate. We had to remove all the parts and everything. We do have proposals for repairing that. We have been in contact or reached out to law enforcement and filed the police reports and everything for that. We are waiting to see if we can still get CCTV footage from them from the intersection so we can identify the vehicle. The vehicle was traveling at least 40 to 50 miles an hour when it made contact, and our camera, it just is a blur on our cameras. And then some of the cameras had water damage in the wiring, so that's been a delay of getting all of them 100% operational. They did just finish today.
It did finish.
He was there today, finishing today. I'm meeting him tomorrow to do a full walkthrough again with all the new system. That'll be the high-speed cameras, checking everything, making sure we're good to go. But unfortunately, it was delayed because they had to order new wiring for all of that. So just waiting for deliveries.
And while you're in the camera situation, I wanted to ask council, is it legal and is it appropriate practice? I think that, I think that there should be at least a single camera in each area that is public to have all residents see. Because I think it can help prevent crime, it can help protect damage early. And it helps for a little bit of transparency that people know that the areas are being watched. Because right now, I mean, honestly, with this crash that happened, all I'm hearing from residents, you guys are full of crap, and that's what it is. You guys can't do this, you can't do that. So they're thinking we are hiding that we have no cameras. People don't know it. And you know what I'm saying? Even though that, like you said, it's hard to identify the people to speed, but you have footage of the actual event happening.
Correct.
So I was thinking that, like something like that, let's say somebody happened to be watching the camera at that incident, it may promote somebody to come out and just look and report it right away, rather than us waiting until the morning to figure it out. You know, so I don't know, is that happening?
I think there is a sign, right, at the front entrance, just to say, like, there's a videotape, this is being videotaped. And I think we had sent I know at least one time it was struck, we sent you all sent.
We've had three, we've sent out at least 3 letters.
We have more going out soon.
Yeah.
So,
Because-
communicate that through, the newsletter blast or something like that, based on the footage, detected on the video camera surveillance, we just do these arrested that struck the fence. But the issue with, having the video surveillance footage just constantly available to the public, that footage is actually, so it's a public record, but there's an exemption to public records law for things that evidence, surveillance, or security. The CD, for example, so, that's an issue. The other issue is you've got members of the public potentially taking screenshots of that and posting it online, doing things like that. You could be involved in some type of lawsuit too, so probably wouldn't recommend it, because there's grounds to say that our video surveillance is an exception to the public record, so that we don't have to produce that to the public, because it could evidence where exactly the security camera is.
Correct, so that's my understanding of that statute, that I read that statute a couple of times, we keep it back. My understanding is that, you don't want to give the public the entire list of reviews that you have. Well, I don't see anything wrong with just a general review, probably in front of the clubhouse or something like that. Someone gets mugged, or someone sees the crime actually happen. I don't know, that didn't make a decision.
Before we used to have, in our TVs, in every homes here, when the developer was here, some of the cameras were on the TVs. And if you, your parents, it's good to see, the pool, and then it switches to another one. You didn't have control of the camera, so the control, it was 5 seconds, and then the other one comes, the other one didn't.
Yeah.
It was still like more.
To that, I can just kind of confirm the legality of it. I know that require the exemption to public records. All of our orders do not. They all run it basically in the hands of the district manager. My experience is works with one district manager being in control of that. And that it not be just available to the public. Exercise. That we exercise the exemption privilege, that we exercise the exemption privilege for when people submit a public record file. Privacy or other things, residents have expressed that before, but if you'd like, I can check the legality of the opposite of what you're posing is, can we legally do something?
Yeah, I guess, like, I'm looking at it from general surveillance, not another solve problems, have residents call you and say, I saw a crime, and concerned about it. They report it, thank you for the report, and you guys deal with it the way you normally do. But I just think it puts more eyes on what's going on, and people know that things are being watched. Right now, I think that a lot of people have questions as to whether or not, and
Have a video, so.
It's a process, if somebody is one of the swing gates.
If we can identify them, or if we can come close and we think it's somebody, we send them a letter. There's a minimum fee in your rules for $200, and if it's more, if they cause more damage. So we send them out a letter, indicating what we believe to have occurred, and then we deal with them individually, to try to figure out if that's them or not.
So you take it to a small company.
No, we're not taking them to small claims at this point for $200. I wouldn't recommend.
So what is the process from the council? That you send a certified, you pretty much suggesting that we have rules that they just talk to the swing gate.
Yeah. Our experience is usually that GMS will send a letter from GMS, and usually that's the
Yeah.
residents will pay if they don't want to now essentially incur council fees too. If that doesn't happen, then GMS will reach out to us and request a legal formal
Yes.
that, cause the issue. We usually will have a telephone conversation with them and say, this doesn't make sense. You just need to pay this because you're gonna be potentially exposed to having to pay the attorney's legal fees to bring an action against you.
since the game is activated, have you collected any money on the waters?
Yes.
But we have.
Yes.
How many, can you share how many?
One of the three has paid. One, because we don't have, because at the time we haven't had the full license plates up, one of the residents has said it's not them. And based on what they said and looking at the video, we tend to concur with them. It's a similar vehicle, but it wasn't their vehicle. And the other one, I'm still waiting to hear back, but we did get full cooperation and payment back from.
Who has the idea to close down the gates going on when the coming in is wide open? The exit. The question is.
That was decided at the meeting, right, 2 weeks ago. After the accident. That was.
No. This is, it's been like that.
I was just talking about why the exit gates are closing and the entry gates are open. But that has been since the accident.
Correct.
Yeah,
Then you do that because the gate is missing on the other side.
Right.
and at least you keep the exit, so you can control, you know.
The point is probably holding people to leave the community when they just gotta go against traffic and do the stuff.
When it happened, the discussion was, this was still within the first week of operating. So the decision was made, hey, people need to get used to this,
Right.
regardless of like, if we're just gonna open it up again for another 2 months, they're just not gonna pay attention to what they actually need to be doing, which is.
Well, even that done, but now it's open, and he said that people can go against traffic to come in, you know.
To go out.
To go out, so to go out.
So people are, you're saying people are cutting through and going out the entrance?
Because that was the reason why the people were never close the gates.
Yeah.
We,
I like to see it.
They were going pretty fast.
we can have Murray open them all up until.
Yeah, maybe we can.
That's fine.
I know, but if it's gonna happen, if that's happening, we're, you know.
So it's part of the, I say, the people getting used to it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, that accident that tore that gate down, I guarantee you that that was the person that you coming in here at 30 miles an hour, when there was no gate, and didn't realize that the gate was there, and that's why, you know, they went so fast through it, because they didn't think that there would be a gate there. Or they were drunk, and they didn't see the gate. But what I'm saying is, that's not somebody that intentionally hit the gate or had the intent to hit the gate. It's just, I think, an accident from somebody that was not aware that we had a gate, which hence supports the idea of hopefully closing the gates to create that kind of people knowing that there's a gate.
Another one, I met when I was at the gate, helping people coming in, you know, I saw a person just coming fast, that I was, but took down the gate, that was in the morning. He thought he was also a part,
He thought it was also, well, I'm sorry.
also all apart. He
Oh,
thought he was continuing also all apart. So he was thinking that that was the, you know, 50 mile per hour road.
Maybe they thought it was a continuation.
Correct. So, yeah.
I think that's why it's a sign there that it says in there.
Yeah.
Right, the end of the board, because of that, we had that situation in the past.
People doesn't read.
These are expected to be hit because people, you know, lose attention. They see the gate open and they just go really quick. And most of the people on the videos, you can see they started going and they stop immediately, but it's too, like they just.
But like I said, is it really necessary to wait for the bar to lift until the gate is completely open? I mean, that's what I think people are, I'm not saying what they're doing is right, but I'm just trying to put the bars in the gate. But I'm saying, you know, once the gate is like 90% open, is there any risk of them hitting the gate if the arm opens? And I think every other community that you visit, I noticed the communities I was in, that the bar opens right when the gate's about to hit its maximum open. And I think a lot of people are thinking that maybe the bar is broken because it's green and it has no open, and sometimes they knock it down because they know it's not gonna cause much damage. And, you know.
And I think that one.
It's just so the problem is, it's a timing issue. So the way that the gates, Bay Area arms are programmed is in exponentials of 2. So basically you can have it go, okay, 2 seconds, the barrier arm will open, like when you hit the line, or and 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. So you're gonna have a gap between 8 seconds, 16 seconds, 32 seconds. There is no in between. That is why it is done that way. So as soon as it goes,
Before, the night before, they used to open sooner, right?
Well, what do you have?
What?
I don't remember, the rules had that.
Not the accent.
Oh,
That's
I don't guess if we go to the exit.
if you're looking for a 3-second difference, we can't do that.
Is there a way to just change the delay on the bar element? From, because it goes green as soon as that pad is hit on the user. You mean delay the color change?
That's what we had discussed last week and I'm looking into is if it can just be red the whole time until it's up. But I think the idea was have it greens when they pull up so they know something is happening. Because sometimes when you pull up to that pad, it takes an extra second for that gate to start going.
Yeah.
So it's just saying, okay, I know you're here. We are starting the process. But the gate itself or the barrier arm,
Well, as it goes ahead,
the whole process.
12 seconds ago, a lot of people, they don't have the patience in the morning at 7:30, and they wanna get out of here, they see the school bus pulling in,
Mhm.
and the light is green, they just wanna hurry up.
Is it open somebody?
But
Yeah.
I mean, if what
There-
there's some things where, okay, what if you hit a kid because you just want to go 2 seconds faster? You know, I think people just need to drive according to what the limits of the street is,
Yeah,
but this is your decision. However you guys want to do it, we can do it.
but the gates are open from 6 to 9 anyway, in the morning.
In the morning from 6 to 9 and in the evening. Correct.
Is there a way to put like a sticker on the bar, instead of waiting for the bar open?
Sure.
I'm just trying to think of ideas, because, I mean, I think the frequency of the bars being knocked down, ever since the gate got activated, is a lot more than usual. And I think it's because of that, people are thinking that the bar is broken.
I mean, I think we could definitely try for right now, just have him switch the process of barrier arm goes up first, then the gate goes.
No.
Okay.
It's because the timing.
And if we can just open that bar maybe like a second or two or four seconds earlier.
I'll see what it's exactly at now and see if we can adjust it some, so.
Literally.
But like I said,
It comes to a stop, and then.
So we had the problem with the first day when we were testing out the entrance. So you enter the code, you have X amount of seconds that gate arm will be up before it automatically closes. And like I said, it's based on exponents of 2. You can't just say, okay, I want it 17.5 seconds exactly. That should be the clear time. You have to go, okay, 16 seconds or 32 seconds. So,
Or before somebody was going to do it from the.
well, because it was closing too soon. Basically, people would enter the code in before they even got the barrier arm was closing. So right now it is set up for 32 seconds on the entrance side, just for reference of understanding how it actually works.
How much is the cost of a
So a brand new one was about just under 800,
765 if they have to replace the phone.
So, so my question is, why we are only charging 200?
Well, you charge 200 at minimum. That's the minimum charge. So if they knock the arm off at all, it's $200. Most of the time, Jarrett can come and just put those back on. There's no damage. It works fine.
Those arms have nylon nuts on them. They're designed to be bumped. That is what the intent is, but if somebody hits it too hard or it collapses on the roof and bends in the process before it gets bumped off, it breaks the LEDs, so you have to replace the whole thing. So, yeah, that's what that's for.
If it's more, we charge them the more.
Yes.
The reimbursement we got was 765.
See on the computer, they charge. For every time that somebody knows that. 550 plus, that are amazing. That's something that we can look into it, so that way we can put a later, better grade on the people. Just hitting that for just for fun.
If you're charging that much, don't you have to change the?
We have to change, we have to go through
Yeah.
Is that in the book?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well, not
200.
500, yeah, the 200 is included, so that would be a fee that you're charging, so you have to go through the road burning process, which we
Yeah.
did the advertising for it. But at some point, they're going to need to be revised,
Yeah.
so you can kind of keep that on the burner and remember it next time we revive it.
Any other questions on the gate? I do have 3 proposals for, replacing the gate there. And the next item is the pool gates. So right now, we're required to have panic bar push exits that we have discussed before. I do have a proposal from Guardian Access, who did a couple of our other communities, and that's who I would recommend for this. It would basically be switching out the gates that we have now from one reinforced model. As you can see from the pictures on the left, this is at Randall Park. You get a new gate plus the 2 reinforced sides to go with it to make sure it's sturdy. This would be 2 of them, one for each, one for the front and the back entrances there. And what it is, so it has the built-in panic bar, and it's a much smaller card reader system and lock and entry. That's a lot more, or a lot less obtrusive than this monstrosity that is on there currently. And with this system, you don't need that push bar or the panic button exit that's there for the mechanical release. These automatically disengage the electromagnetics and everything on the way out. But the reinforced gate also comes with a mesh, so people can't just push the handle and get in regardless.
And obviously, this one is because also we needed from this one because we are out of code this side. Right, we are, I think the fire department mentioned that we need to.
We're out of code on both sides. They both, all those exits have to be push bar.
Now, looking in the future, with this access point, the access control is with this, this be able to be moved into a combined queue, but it would be
Correct,
function.
correct.
So if we decide to continue to explore the idea of putting everything on that combined queue.
Correct. Guardian can tie it into whatever we can tie it into. So
So I look at this proposal over the surface, 20 grand is $180.
well, it's
And
yeah.
I'm wondering, like, do we know what each component costs? Because, I mean, it's a lot of money for 2 small gates.
I can ask them for a full breakdown, but it's removal of the gates now. That means removal of that, removal of all the wiring that you currently have, and removing the exit button, all of that, installing these 2 new reinforced gates, rerunning all the wiring and everything like that. So it is costly, but that material is a lot more sturdy than basic aluminum. Little,
What's the material?
it's reinforced aluminum. It's a harder material than this. That is basic aluminum. You could literally just put your hand on it and push it and it's gonna break. But you're not gonna be able to do that with this.
I don't like the price. We should try to get more proposals.
Okay. If you wanna, just because this is a compliance thing, I would recommend delegating somebody and at least using their number as your not to exceed.
Yeah.
That way we can get a couple other vendors. The problem with this is it's a specialized vendor thing, so finding someone that can do it has been problematic.
Is there any money we can save on installing or improve what's existing? Or to having to do it?
I mean, I
Probably, this includes bigger, includes the removal of existing features. Wondering if their guys can do it at better cost. And save a little bit on that.
in theory, yes. I don't feel comfortable with this just because it has the security system attached to it. Just, I don't want that on my end. Please. If it was something,
See at least one more proposal, and I know Complete Access, they fabricate these gates, so I know that they can compete with this.
this is the other vendor that you had for that up there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think, foreseeing the difference, I mean, it's $500, I don't care,
Okay.
but we're talking $3 grand, $4 grand, that's a big difference.
Perfectly fair. Then what my recommendation would be,
But before the action, one of the most important things, because, yeah, if we talked about this a meeting before that, eventually we would like to see the entire system go on one queue,
Mhm.
especially as we've heard that system's kind of iffy now. But, you know, we don't want to pay for contacts and we're gonna have to replace in, you know, what, a couple months, years.
what I would recommend with this then, like I said, is use Guardians as a not to exceed. Made somebody, since you already have contact information with complete access, I'm going to reach out to them. I'll get everything. If you wouldn't mind volunteering or have somebody volunteer to just make the decision for the board of based off prices, this is what we decide. It's going to be the same result. It's just getting the vendors to do it. So,
The board, please, I'm not volunteering.
Since this obviously is a compliance issue, yeah, I will do that, but obviously, you know, I won't pay the 20,000 unless that's the, you know,
No.
the verbal with, you know, other companies,
Correct.
at least, so I will do a motion to approve up to, what was it?
20,695.
20,695, making, right,
Yep.
Delegating.
Delegating authority.
Supervisor Cordova.
Yep.
To finalize the contract with the bid process.
I'll second that motion.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Simple game. Don't need more than we would be.
No. That wasn't what it was. It was just that style of. The problem with the gate that you have now, you know, people, as soon as they step on it, it bends, your whole system messes up. You want something that's going to survive. So, is there any other questions on the manager's report before we get into the rest of the proposals? Okay. All right, then we'll start with the 5-star pool proposal. So there, like I said, their number that we had approved last meeting was around 6,500, I believe it was roughly. The actual total was 10,540. Now, because there was this discrepancy between them and Technical's original pricing, I sent this to Technicals and asked for an apples to apples because they kept giving me slightly different motors or slightly different this, and I want 100% apples to apples based off this. Give me a number. They came in at around roughly 8,000 for Technicals, but their motors were still wrong. It just wasn't the same. And then after we had changed vendors, I had asked them, are you still willing to do this work? Even if you're not the vendor, we are offering it to you. We'd like you to have the opportunity to still bid on this. They originally said yes, they did have an intention to still bid and we're still willing to do the work. And then a week or two went by. I went to verify right before we were getting set up for the meeting. They will not speak to me anymore. They were upset that we had replaced them. And as of right now, they're not communicating.
So help explain, help me understand the
Yeah.
proposal of the budget.
Yes, sir.
So there's two different motors. Why do you use different motors?
Do you need to replace the main pump that is actually feeding? Like right now, we have the propane feeding the system and everything. That needs to be transitioned to electrical, and then that is your main pump for the spa itself. Then you have the smaller pumps that feed all your chemicals and things like that in there. So you have, if you look at that.
That's what the battery pump is, it's chemical
Jets.
Correct. So if you look at this here. So you have primary pumps, you have therapy pumps, you have these little filler things or spindler devices. These are feeding chemicals constantly. These are all tied into each other and desperately need to be replaced. Because they've been sitting there for a while. So this proposal would get you, there's no more coming back. This is 100% completion.
So how does this spa work then? Like, I'm thinking like, one thing that's gonna run a lot. Was gotta keep it hot. People that come here in the middle of winter and want it in the hot.
Well, it's actually running less than the main pool because there's a timer switch and everything.
So there'll be a top switch that turns off automatically, we shouldn't pass it.
Correct. So like, if you go to a lot of hotels that have a spa, it's warm most of the time. Then when you get in, you can turn the timer on, it changes the temperature, gives you bubbles, does all that. But then as soon as that, you set it for I don't know, an hour, as soon as that hour's on, it goes back to a normal stagnant situation. Which right now it is taking power because it still has to be fed chemicals and everything at the moment. And the chemical requirements for what the ppm can be was changed. I'm sorry,
Right now, the heater's not working.
the heater's not working.
So we're gonna invest 6,000 heating system for it, it's electric. Do we know how much that heater is gonna average, say, a month, a year? With average use? I'm trying to get a guess.
I don't know, off the top of my head, honestly.
And the hurricane pad is just the cover that you put on it, and hurricane system?
No, so the hurricane pad right now you have one out there. So the pump the pump device that's outside of the pump house goes on a hurricane pad, which is basically, it's an insulated concrete basing.
Yeah.
So it's called a hurricane pad. So right now, the one you have is old, busted, and has been damaged and things like that. So you need a new one for that pump that goes outside of the pump house.
I'm shocked, I mean, I never thought it would be a lot cheaper to do this, but. I don't think it's a very good thing, but I don't think we want it to work, so.
Is the that we took out when you guys taking it over still exists. Should be sitting around somewhere. We had purchased a rebuild pump,
For the spa?
not the spa, pool.
Yeah, we bought the new one.
Mhm.
Our new one had installed, they're supposed to leave us the old one, and we had something went wrong, we had to go back up. We was sliding. You see that?
So the only thing that I had saw that was in there was a pump that was destroyed and all over the place in the old pump room. And it was unusable and broken. So I had them clean everything up that they could. I mean, it was in pieces, literally.
Working pump that was rebuilt because we had supply chain issues before COVID. They
Okay.
rebuilt it, but we also purchased a new one and said, install a new one, but we used to rebuild one. In the event we ever needed to kind of back up, sitting there, because we go to the pool pumps like in the business.
I can try to follow up and see.
Yeah, talk to Terry Pool,
Yes.
because they are the ones that, the new pool pump should be installed. The new one, and the old one should be there.
Yes.
You know, like, it should.
And the reason I'm asking is because does that help us with all in the situation?
No, it's a whole, I'm willing to bet no, but I will.
I will too, but this question. It may help listen to the blow. You know.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, one.
No, it's like the way more fast, way more fast.
I'm not a pool specialist. So I can't- Yeah.
You know,
In theory, yes, a pump for a pump, but I don't know if it's, specifically designed to run at a certain speed to my knowledge, the pump that he said was supposed to be a very electrical cost saving, or not cost saving, but, conscious, supposed to be cheaper than all the other models and run more efficiently because they originally were, Tenny Pools was suggesting a 256 plus motor in here, which it just isn't needed for that small of a tank. Like, we're not heating the entire pool, it's just 10 feet of water here, so this is a much smaller motor.
No, we have money. Got eighty to start with. Which on the spot.
No, let me scan through and see where we're at. I mean, we are kind of over budget at this point, but that's from a lot of things that I think we actually did last year that the invoices just kind of hit, like the AC unit. And kind of some other big items. Let me take a look.
What Jesus, whatever, talk board is. We're coming, I think, to the summer season, and things will probably not. often do people use a spa, but then summer leaves it out? Is this something that maybe we reconsider or push towards when we get back into the cold season and the budget year? And today the hot water would be great, but soon we're gonna be under.
Yeah, but it's people that like they'll use it all year
I
round. In the summer, if you go in the hot tub, you get out, it's cool.
Well, people a lot of time, like for me, if I'm going swimming in the hot tub, first thing I'm doing is relaxing in the hot tub. As soon as it get hot, I jump in the pool, cool off, and I get right back in the hot tub. Because that's how I.
With the heating is that, that I think it's gonna run more than you think it will. Because people are gonna be here using it. People don't come to use it because they know it's broken, but just for space, it's gonna get a lot.
But then this compared to gas, because obviously we get gas. What is the use?
You still have broken pumps in there.
Hmm?
You still have damaged pumps that need to be replaced.
No, wait, he said the heater. No, you said, yeah, wait.
It's probably less. Yes. Because the gas, is the lighting good, is the tank good, is,
Yeah,
right?
that's the other question is, when we do this conversion to electric, do we have any more obligation with this gas tank that's buried here, when they get to move? Or will you just disconnect and leave it there?
He's closing, I will find out the exact specifics. He would be closing off that valve and sealing off the valve where it comes out of the ground to the connection point. So that connection point will be closed off. Whether or not we have to completely get rid of the gas tank is there. In my head, I don't see why we would need to. We can, and I will check with Tico and other specialists on that. But I don't see why that would be necessary. I think it gives options for the future if you don't remove it, and it's really not bothering anything at the moment, but
Remember that, repairing the gas stuff,
we still haven't had Tico out here.
well, I'd like to be very cautious, revamping the gas system with those more electric, because it's bigger than what it's probably, yeah, it will be fine, it's beyond $506,000. That was like 10, was 11. So I don't think gas will cost that much, since all the infrastructure is there already. But it's up to you guys, it's still people. So people is out there, that's some. So people, no, sweet people, you keep their ability.
Yeah, let's look at it. Okay, so let's just start with this here, let's just have them price out a heater for gas, and let's just look at the cost comparison for the component, right? And that would assume everything is working, but we're gonna have to spend some more money there. If it's a substantial difference, maybe I think we save a little bit of money. And that, I know what needs to be more efficient in heating than electric would be. Maybe we get lucky, maybe we don't. But I think it's at least something to compare to.
Okay, and that's fine. Do you want me to bring the pool vendor here next meeting? Our pool vendor here to explain the.
Kind of the mechanics. a
He
little better,
knows
yeah.
the mechanics of the pumps
Yeah.
and everything way better than I do.
It's better for you.
I'm trying to answer your questions off the knowledge that I have, but it's.
I don't know what the gas tank would do,
Well, that's, okay.
Because that also, right now, we gotta get all this out and we figure out if the tanks are good, if the lines are good, because if those are out, I'm talking about tons of money. So then it's gonna be out of the picture, we doing gas, because it's gonna be a lot of money to
Correct.
change the piping and.
well, that's where, they charge you, a couple hundred to do the inspection and make sure everything is in order to use the gas. Because our fear was, I contemplated the actions, that my fear was that nothing's gonna be usable, what we did, if that's to replace all the gas, it's gonna be a lot more.
Because they would have to dig
But
up.
if the gas company confirms the tank is good, the lines are good, you guys are good to go, just replace the stuff and put up the gas and go in there.
And then, yeah, like I said, Dave can explain it in a much more concise way, so.
Make it like easier. I didn't realize.
It's just a very, very tiny pool. So. The good thing about the spa is it doesn't have that whole filter grid system that you need and everything, so. Okay, so table that for now. Moving on to the last thing we have. So we have 3 proposals for replacing the front entrance gate. 2 of the proposals do not include replacing the mechanical gate arm. The gate arm component that actually controls the gate opening and closing. The only one that included that was King's Access, so there's a pretty significant discrepancy in the pricing there. When we had Guardian review it, they have not told us that it was in bad condition. Their recommendation was that just replacing the top swing arm portion that connects to the gate.
I think things, their proposal, they make sure that they're saying the warranty's voided because of the accident. And that's why they want to replace the whole motor again. That's why they're saying, but to me, I think if it's operable, why not use it to the guys?
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. If it, I think anytime you have something like that, just go with the cheaper price for there. If we need to replace that, you can set a not to exceed for if it's determined in the process that it's just not working, we have to replace this. Use their number as a not to exceed to go from there, but. So because their King's Access proposal is at 16,170 for reference.
Yeah.
Then Guardian Access is at 7,582.94, which even with a 4,200 for the gate arm barrier only puts us at 11,000 something. And for complete access, they're at 5,650, and this would be running through the insurance, correct? Correct, yeah.
And obviously that one has cell tax, so.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, so it would be
again,
adjusted from
the
there.
deductible on your insurance is 1,000, so we would expect that that's gonna be kind of our cost on this. Unless obviously insurance, or we can track down kind of the perpetrator, they would obviously defer to them.
Oh, so now that we're talking about that, so I speak around the information, so when something happen like that, you have to bring them, it doesn't matter, like, I talked to the FHP, and it doesn't matter if it happened in the morning, we have to call them to come. They have to come and do every crash report, it cannot be just a regular FHP, it has to be a crash report, then they're obligated to investigate.
Okay, because that is not what they told me on the phone.
Oh.
Because I called them specifically, and they said, we do not respond to anything that did not immediately happen. Here's your FHP case number. Please fill out that online form. They're like, fill this form out, and I asked them, I'm like, this is between 2 driver vehicles. It doesn't have, I don't know their information, and there was no second vehicle. There's no victim. I don't know what to do. And they said, just fill that out, put the case number on. Put your best description, like fill out as best as possible and submit that. That way you at least have a record and we can go from there. And that's what I did. And apparently that was not good enough from what you're saying. But they specifically on the phone told me, I'm like, can I get somebody out here so I can meet them so we can review the damage? And they said, we do not respond to those types of things.
Oh, yeah, when you call and I say, we gotta beat and run, this and that, and say, okay, give me the case, I started reading the case, and say, oh, that's for insurance purpose. That's, we don't investigate, as soon as I start saying AFHP, that's it, they say, oh, no, that's not, it could be a crash number. Crash incident report.
Okay.
And that's how they told me, for them to investigate, they say usually take them 10 days to investigate.
Okay.
So now that we know that, maybe the next time they just happen.
Yeah.
Whoever gets to see first,
Yeah.
must call the police and do a report.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that they remove all the debris too, but that doesn't stay there, so then these are the fast come, I'm gonna really see what happened. You know, so it's on the spot, something that happens, probably we should be called on Saturday, unfortunately, that way. So we said that we do the complete access and the Guardian proposal. Is there any difference in what they're comparing? The only thing I see Berkeley in my eyes is that he said that he talked to the car.
To my understanding of both scopes, there's no difference between their two, though. The difference was the gate, the operator itself. So with King's Access.
These does have like an LED controller, LED arm strip on their bid, where the other say they are.
Yeah,
Right, the others are saying the car.
So that's
Probably
another-
700 on top of it.
Because the other ones are from package, just to make sure that.
The
package or quality-
LED arm does need to be replaced on that one. It was completely.
Correct, so I mean, just go ahead and make this, you know, regular, it's not a proposal there, or does it need a battery and a wire kit or?
Well, at least this company came and saw. I think, you know, the things that we need, right? All these
Gardens, yeah.
They came and.
Yeah, they send welders out here, they send their electricians and their technicians out here, yes. Because they looked at all of that and they looked at the pool gates and everything else here. So.
The other two companies explain or provide the time frame to complete the job.
I do not have lead times like that. This was trying, so we originally got the proposal from Kings as they are the current vendor. Insurance had said, okay, this is perfectly fine. Can you get one more proposal for us? And that'll be good enough for our terms.
Yeah.
So this was done in a very tight time frame, just so you're aware, to get it to here to release
Yeah.
discussion.
I like when you ask them, because they're local, they're gonna say cloud and. Probably easier to work with, but you know, I suppose whichever the one. That is.
Well, and I will say price wise, I mean, again, as long as the insurance claim goes through, which we don't anticipate there's any issues, but your obligation would be the $1,000 deductible. The insurance would send a check for the repair minus that. And it may be that we even use the King's Access when we send it to insurance, because they typically will just issue a check.
I'm with, like. We just did their own followings, they're actually located. But I didn't notice here.
Well, Lee Vista's our office. I just want to be
Oh,
clear.
But
That's our accounting.
Washington Street is right on Livingston.
It's Washington Street in Orlando.
But I also noticed the notes here, you know, they talk about when match gate properly full of, gate or pattern. And lower gates are available for both gates at a cost, but at least they're identifying where the other companies are. Just are doing it, are they gonna, I just feel a little bit more comfortable doing something that's gonna be an exact match. Even if they have to pull another gate down for a couple of days. Basically.
Well, the other thing, I mean, if you read that, they do provide you a loaner gate. So while the gate is being manufactured, their proposal has that they'll give you a loaner gate. What they're saying is it may not match, but you'll at least have a gate that they can use.
That's the match for the existing gauge.
Right.
So, wow.
Well, I think
No, that's,
they're gonna do that too.
they have to, whoever's making it has to fabricate the gate to match, so they have to use welders. So Guardian Access is saying they will put a temporary gate on there.
Right. That
So you
won't-
can close the
they're
gate.
putting a disclaimer saying it.
It's really tough. They don't need to-
Then we can close the system back and.
Lower gate available for both gate were additional 1,100.
They're saying we pay 1,000 in the direction, the insurance, we have to pay 7 for the one gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's.
Oh, it is 1,100.
I don't see.
Yeah, we don't need, I mean, you don't need the loaner gate.
I don't think we need the loaner gate, but that option is there.
Yeah.
I like their forethought and the way they're thinking through it, we were with them to do it, which is right. Follows me over saying, yeah, we'll make it. Well, these guys are having more detail.
Use Guardian for almost everything that we do. But any of the three options is fine with me.
Of course, we got to know what kids are getting over. Didn't know that, that's not one. I think this is gonna be more.
I mean, you know, that's likely,
You go over and spend, in case he brings that.
I mean, again, you're, no, I don't think they're going to object. We've already sent them that proposal. What they asked us was, are you getting other proposals? I mean, we could have already submitted the claim, but we kind of wanted to see where you guys were at. And we've got, what's that? We gave them the $16,000 proposal is what we sent insurance are.
I don't know, you said they said another.
They just asked us if we were getting another proposal.
Oh.
Because they didn't want to start the claim process until we were done doing our investigation. So we're fine with doing that. I mean, I mean, if you're, again, your bill is gonna be 1,000, as long as the insurance claim, there's no issue. So you might want to just get new equipment
Yeah, and then.
that are covered under warranty.
But also make sure that need to keep it. You
Yes,
know, that
yeah.
separate.
Don't let things.
Yeah.
Who's gonna make a motion?
And then what we'll do also simultaneously is we'll go ahead and approve this and get them going on the work while we do the insurance claim. That's kind of.
I make a motion to go with King's carrier. Instead of the insurance cover. Little carrier.
I second that motion.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed?
Once again, please don't.
All right, motion passes 3-1. And I think you want to talk about this disposal.
Oh, yes, the other thing that we had, so we are, we're changing office spaces where our warehouse is. We're gonna be running in 2 different locations and kind of downsizing things to make it more sense, or make more sense for our maintenance team, just because some of our stuff is here in St. Cloud, and Orlando. Most of our projects are in Davenport, so we'll have 2 different offices. So right now, we're storing all of the spike strips, all of the speed bumps and everything like that. And we do not have the space for it anymore because we're in the process of downsizing. And it's creating fire issues at our place. What do you guys want to do with that stuff? Because there's no room for it here
That actually is back there, what's in that exterior door? Back there?
in that small room. We'd have to, there's a lot of stuff in there. You have tiles in there, you have ladders, you have paint, you have machines, everything that you guys own basically is in that side room. And there's not enough space. Even if we used all of that whole room, there's not enough space with the speed bumps. Because you have both full sections of speed bumps.
Yeah, yeah.
How long was the condition of those packs? I mean, are they really installable, have too much, it will last?
Are they
The
reinstalled?
old speed bumps, that goes for the exams on the exit. They're, well, you know, saying the bolts and bolted in, and the asphalt wasn't bolted in, and like, but they think them because they're still acid. District, so my question is, if one day we decided to reinstall them, are they reinstallable without too much repair? Or are they just shot completely, you just go?
They are, the speed bumps, the rubber speed bumps are usable. However, they are very subjective to impact. So you have to consider like even the bolts, when we came by to redo the bolts, within a few days, there was already ones popping back up because they just get struck. So that it's a cost to consider. If you're gonna use that, you have to maintain it and go from there. It's gonna be an increased cost. However, yes, they are usable to an extent, but they're rubber, they're gonna wear.
But then at least maybe at the entrance, by where the sign is, where residents, people down with them, who's speed. I mean, if they're there, I mean, how much does it cost to reinstall
I mean, it would just be the labor to do
I
it.
would say they're for a new district. What about like CSW? What about these roads that actually go? You know, once they reach down, this gas.
But then you get a lot of traffic, you know, at high speed.
Right, so you're still wanting, like, put it there, and like, for a gate. I'm just trying to figure out the usable life. Can they extend the usable life if they have?
Do you guys know when they were originally installed? That would be very helpful too. But, just a ballpark range, so 3 years,
No, more.
more than that. Anything like that, you're asking for,
Yeah, right.
I can't give you a good time frame with that. 5 years of wear and tear.
You only have two of them. Would that be?
There's two worth of, yes.
There's no more than-
So the ones at the entrance, we got rid of them completely because there was missing sections, bars broken, there was too much. The ones that were on the exit, you have 2 lanes worth of traffic that you can use them.
Those are the ones.
Yeah. No, in terms of getting your assets and anything you want to us about. I mean. And then you should consider.
I don't think it's not worth it, keeping it. You know, then we go to.
How much does it cost, I mean,
So they what?
how much do those ones cost?
Seem like they're expensive.
They're,
I don't know.
they're the rubber ones. They're very expensive. They're way more expensive than you would think. They're probably 5 or 6 grand per stripe.
Asphalt's cheaper.
Huh?
Asphalt's cheaper.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what would be cheaper, man.
So,
A lot less maintenance than what.
I know what they are. I can look them, I can look up at least a sample quick.
so in your opinion, Jared, where do you think that these bumps will be the most useful?
And the garbage is not.
No,
but if they're the individual area, they're not gonna be installed, reinstalled correctly, you're gonna spend the money to continue to try to reinstall them and keep up with them. We're just throwing money.
I-
Some
that's-
things, look at your ROI. Is there a return on the investment? I mean, we're putting back in, if the investment continues to go.
But that none of the things we spend in this district have any current investment, they all are lost. Because they all require corporate maintenance, they all require new business some point, they all require something, so there's no investment I think that we made that's gonna give us any value back other than the service that you provide. The way.
Yes, I see.
We can't find a appropriate, useful area for them. Can we sell them to somebody? Can we donate it to somebody?
Yeah.
Can we give it to somebody that wants to use them?
Yeah, there's a provision about surplus property that the CDD has to follow, so there's a whole procedure if you want to sell property, how to do that. Provide notice of surplus property, so that's something you can direct us to do. Looking at the statute right now too, for reference, if it's property, the value of which the governmental unit estimates to be under $5,000 may be disposed of in the most efficient and cost effective means as determined by the government unit. Any sale of property, the value which is estimated to be $5,000 or more shall be sold only to the highest responsible bidder or by public auction for publication not less than 1 week. So there's a whole procedure that we're gonna have to follow depending on the value of it. Which it sounds like we need, which it sounds like we need to confirm, but what you can do is you can just delegate authority to one of the supervisors to work with council and management staff to either sell the property or if possible, follow the statutory procedure for selling that or get rid of it.
And this one has this. And this big one, so both at the same time.
Well, typically, I mean, we actually just, for most of our districts, just declare them surplus, go through that process, and then we dispose. I mean, unless it holds some kind of value that you
I
can.
think it does hold value. I think the problem is just done. It's not appropriate, you know? I think I would like, even if you give them to free, the community that will use them, I would be getting that. But, I just don't think we should throw them out. I don't think that we have used for the entrance, or you think that used for the set view. I don't think they wanted to do anything to this view, and I think they're gonna get a lot of impact. And we're gonna be maintaining it probably in 3 months, that's.
Do you have any issues with us putting them somewhere here in the bushes somewhere or something, or against the building somewhere? Just
Get it storage.
because we literally have, we're a storage unit because we literally do not have the space and they have to
So
go.
the side strips and the rubber bumps, what else would that?
That's pretty much all we're storing everything right now.
That's the only thing you need to get rid of.
Yes.
Or again, if the district's amenable, we can get a small storage unit. I mean, we have other districts that have small storage units that they just rent.
How much is that?
They're $50 to $100 a month, depending on the size.
Because I'll be honest, with you, me as an eyesore, to see all this thing being stored everywhere, you know? Tables, I mean, I think it's liability too, you know, if at some point somebody, if it falls. I heard through the grapevine that some of the, I know we had the event of the, stickers, that one of the tables falls, like the lock doesn't work. And, you know, I think we need to kind of inspect all these, tables and chairs and kind of make sure they're operable, that they're not repairable, that they need to be removed. I think it's a big deal.
That's what we discussed earlier.
Yeah, and I think if we can also, you know, I think we have some space here for storage, not for those big items, though, I know that. But I just think that all of our spaces are being occupied with things that are not useful. I mean, I've seen water bottles in there that God knows how much is in. And, you know, I don't know, I think we really need, you know, remember I told you, Jared, about this, when your first one, that I think that the storage, you can get in there, clean it out, when it's not useful, get rid of it, put shelves in, organize the hooks, put those ladders, hooks, something, so that that creates more floor space. You have more floor space, and you can put more stuff in there, and, you know, we're not maximizing the storage that we have already. So I would like to see that before we get another storage. And in terms of those items, I feel like those items could be stored outside, it's a matter of us reading and comparing it forward.
Yeah.
No one's gonna, I think, steal it. I think they will. Well, what you're saying,
Our time frame is this week. It needs to go. So it is, we already are on limited space in that office. This is extra space and it's blocking our walking ways and it's a fire code violation. We cannot have this.
So say in the HOA office for now, or in the second office? Or they both?
That could work, yeah. It's just,
Why don't we just do that for now?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I personally gonna try to get a storage for me personally, when they build a storage facility, they're doing it across the street. I mean, that would be nice, we could get pricing on that and find out what's, so you can right across the street. Well, cost us, and if it's doable, then I think that would be the place to put it, it's easily accessible.
well, and there's already a lot of stuff in that storage room that I'd like to move to somewhere else, anywhere. Even, like I said, I'm going to have everything cleared out. That'll be our project for this month and get that organized and come to you next week. If you want.
Only one,
By all means.
You can't lift anything, just watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, but if we will.
Oh,
I'll make
we're talking about
Sunshine. Yeah.
You can't be a volunteer, we got all kinds of things.
We do it all the time.
Sign me up on it.
But yeah, other than that, that's all.
All right. All right, we've got a supervisor's request.
That's it.
That's-
Anyone?
You can open it.
You can open it for public.
Now that you can make after.
Want to give a name, or is it a group?
Good.
That's it.
Thank you.
No, that's it.
Okay, so I make a motion to adjourn the meeting for, the next one is February 13th.
Yes.
At 5 p.m.
Gentlemen, this is record.
We need a second.
2 hours.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning the meeting? Any opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned.
No, it's not the only one.
90% of it. Good.
We have money. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
We're really.
Looking. Second.
Careful, you're talking for 2018, if there's a 2018,
Less than two, I think.
probably then 2018. I don't know how much. I don't
There's a
know.
day. We're gonna put the day on.
Yeah, we got that.
But yeah, there's more provisions to there. Thank you. Because one of these is right now.
I know I.
Well,
and this. Metal, that metal, I don't want to.
I don't.
See that